we got
That was
going
good.
here? Does it sound good?
Yeah, that's good.
Too loud?
This is our first attempt at an oral history of the Guthrie family and other people related to that.
And your name is?
Joe.
And I'm Bo.
And it's
And we're trying to get our equipment all set up here.
it's April Fool's Day,
All right.
1989. How's that?
Okay. Does that seem like that's about the right
Oh yeah,
volume?
sounds great. I love these earphones. Do you want to listen?
That's fine, yeah. Listen. Yeah, so you can, if you do that, you're listening to the tape, actually. And then if you push this button here, now you're listening actually back and forth this way through the microphone.
Oh, I see. That's really nice.
Hey, that fire is nice in the background.
Well, where should we start?
Whoa, you're coming through strong. I'll listen just a little bit to make sure we're coming through all right.
Well, to the best of my recollection, I think the Guthries came up from Virginia at some point. I'm not sure where, how far back, but anyway, settled in southern Indiana in DuPont, Indiana, which is near Madison. And there's a cemetery there with a large Guthrie marker and a great-grandpa's.
Big, tall marker.
Very tall marker, yeah. Great-grandpa was probably our most famous relative, being a state senator, and made a lot of money in timber. And I'm not sure what his relationship was to the state parks. Do you know? Was he a friend of Colonel Lieber's, or?
That's the story I remember, yeah. Uh-huh.
At any rate, whatever the connection was, he had an entrance that was named for him at Clifty Falls. And I guess we went to see that once, didn't we?
Yeah, and then I remember the movie where they showed him standing there with Governor McNutt, you know, Jet and George and Governor McNutt and
That's
Grandpa
right.
Guthrie.
That's right.
That's all I remember about that particular scene.
I guess the only other thing I particularly remember about great-grandpa was in his later years he lived on the Circle in Indianapolis in the Columbia Club, and always took good care of his health. Ate cereal for supper, always took walks.
I didn't know that. Cereal for supper?
Yeah, always took good care of his health.
Yeah.
And we should tell the story about great-grandmother dying in Egypt.
Yeah, why don't we start off with a cheerful story like that? Gotta get that on tape. Go ahead, take it away, Joe.
Well, I can't remember the whole story, but they took a trip to Egypt, and while they were there, great-grandmother died, and I guess there was a problem getting her body shipped back. And as I recall the story, great-grandpa was a 32nd degree Mason, and he had this ring on, and whoever was there saw this ring and realized he was a Mason, and that really opened the way to getting her body shipped back to the United States for burial.
I didn't know that, but I remember the difficulty that they had, but I didn't remember the Mason thing connection. Yeah, that was really something. I think they went around. They went all over Europe and even went to Egypt at that time. I can't quite imagine that.
I can't either.
Was that the trip where they met the Bishop Guthrie? You remember that story?
Not clearly, no.
And well, on one trip they met a bishop whose name was Guthrie in Scotland.
Oh, yeah.
And he explained how the name Guthrie came to be.
Yeah, why don't you tell that story?
Well, he said that the bishop, according to the bishop, this guy who used to go to the same restaurant or the same pub regularly. He was a regular customer. And instead of saying, when he'd order, instead of saying fried 3 fish for me, he'd say gut 3 for me. And so they got to call him, and then here comes old gut 3. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not, but that's the story anyway.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I guess is there a Guthrie Castle in Scotland?
Yeah. I had a map one time where it shows a little part that's a Guthrie Castle, and then did you get I got a flyer from somebody about preserving Guthrie Castle.
Yeah. It's really not a full clan though, isn't it? It's kind of a sub-clan of a...
That I don't know. I've never
big
read it.
clan, I think. As far as we're going to
Yeah,
town.
we're getting a great fire here.
We're sitting in our kitchen here on Sardis Road in Murraysville by our wood-burning stove.
And it was cold tonight.
It was very chilly this evening.
We just finished a delicious dinner at the Alibaba.
That's it.
Yeah.
You got it. Downtown.
And I tasted, what did I taste for the first time?
Baba Ganoush.
No, well, I tasted all the things you had on your plate, but I was thinking about the pine nuts.
Oh,
That's it.
yeah.
I'd never had pine nuts before. Everybody else had things more exotic than this.
Yeah, that's very good.
Okay, back to the clan now. What else do you think about that time, that early ancestral time? I can stop it.
We were just sitting here trying to think about what we should talk about next, and I was thinking about, I think I remember this correctly, the way great-grandpa died. It was a really, really hot day, and in those days we had hand pumps outside that you pumped and you could get a drink and so on. And one of the things that people often did was to stick their head under the pump to cool off under the water. And as I recall, that's what he did. He came in, he was really hot. He pumped his head, and he came in.
That's why you got
and
one.
and he came in and sat down, I believe, in front of a fan, and took a little rest, and he caught pneumonia, and he died.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think that's the way
Yeah.
it happened. So,
Yeah, the thing I remember about great-grandpa was the fact that he was so ramrod straight, and
Yeah,
he
that's right.
and of course he lived to a
very
rightful
very
age.
dignified looking. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
and was a state senator. And I don't know what else he did though. Where did he make it? Did he make his money in lumber? I guess he
Yeah,
did. Yeah,
that's right. Made money in timber. Well, we could move on to Grandpa, I guess.
Should we move?
Unless you can
I think we ought to
other-
just, let it flow
Yeah.
and just pick up all the stories we can right now, and then we may add others. Or when George and Jed hear this,
Yeah, they might want to add
they
their
may
own.
add others.
Well, you tell a little of the background about Grandpa since I told
Okay,
you about
well,
great-grandpa.
we always call him Dr. Grandpa because he was a doctor, and I guess to distinguish him from great-grandpa Guthrie, neither of whom we knew, right?
That's right.
I wonder, let's see, Grandpa Guthrie, Dr. Grandpa died when George was born, I think, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And the one big story I remember about Dr. Grandpa was the time that Mother used to say, or Dad, I guess it was Mother who used to tell us how great a diagnostician he was.
That's
you know,
right. Oh,
and-
tell the one about the diphtheria. That's a neat story.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Oh.
Tell that one, and then I'll tell the one about the tax.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not sure I'm going to get this right, but I think the story goes that there was a young intern that came in and was, made this very scientific diagnosis of this particular patient, and really went through all the rigors of making the diagnosis. And the story was that Grandpa came in and he took one whiff and he smelled, and he said, "Must be diphtheria." He just smelled it in the air. There was some
gosh.
strange thing about the disease that made it have a strange odor. And of course, the intern felt a little, I guess, put in his place maybe. That wasn't the intent, but So now you tell the story about.
Well, the one I remember best, I didn't even remember that one, so I'm glad to know that one. The one I remember best was when Mother said that he could have been a surgeon, but that he was such a good diagnostician that he always wanted to be, or he always remained a diagnostician, even though, I guess in those days, you could just go back and be a surgeon if you wanted to. I'm not sure how that worked, but anyway.
I think they just did surgery up in that third floor, didn't they, in the house in Greenwood? Where
Oh, did they?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, well, anyway, she said something about he could have gone to Indianapolis and been a specialist or a surgeon, but he
Yeah.
wanted to be a good diagnostician and a general practitioner. Anyway, he was coming home from someplace. I can't remember now where. But anyway, he was coming down the street, going toward his house, and he saw this guy who was a carpenter, I guess, who was working on something on his house, up on a ladder, and the guy had nails or tacks in his mouth, right?
Yeah, tax, I think.
And I don't know why he had tacks, what he was doing with tacks up there, but anyway, that never occurred to me. Why? Anyway, he had tacks in his mouth. And when Grandpa said hello, the guy said hello and swallowed one of the tacks, right? That was the way I heard it anyway. He got it in his windpipe. And he fell off the ladder, I guess. And Grandpa, somehow he pointed to his throat and indicated he was choking and there was something in there. And Grandpa got out his pocket knife and cut his
tracheotomy.
Did a tracheotomy. Yeah, now we know that.
Yeah.
Did a tracheotomy and got out the tack and saved the man's life.
Yeah, that was a great story.
Yeah.
I guess he also had a difficult time collecting his bills in those days, as I recall. And he never made a lot of money being a doctor because an awful lot of people owed him money, and I think many never did pay. So that was another story I remember about.
Can you tell the one about the deer's head?
I don't remember that one.
Well, that was one that was tied in with the not collecting money because they paid him in kind.
Oh, okay.
And that deer's head that we had, that one that got all
Yeah.
moth-eaten, we
Mhm.
used to have it down in the game room,
Mm-hmm.
that was one of his fees, I
I'd
think.
forgotten about that.
Yeah.
That was something. He was in World War I and was a doctor in World War I. Remember that? We had that
He was a
revolver.
major, yeah.
The revolver from World War I for years.
Which was stolen.
Yeah.
At the same time, the old Lefevre shotgun was stolen.
Yeah.
We ought to tell our gun stories sometime. That would be pretty funny.
What-
I think that that seems such a strange part of our lives now to think about hunting, but we used to go out with the .22 rifle and the 12-gauge shotgun.
Yeah. Do you remember the first time Dad took us out to teach us how to use the .22? This is as clear to me as if I was standing there.
Really?
Yeah. Do you remember that huge locust tree that was on the corner?
Yeah, with the groundhog hole
Yeah,
underneath,
with
yeah.
the tile and the groundhog hole. Well, we went down to that tree, and there was this little, like a notch in the bark. It must have been, like an inch or an inch and a half high, and maybe 3 inches long. It was a small little notch, but you could clearly see it in the bark. And Dad said, "You see that little notch out of the bark, you know?" And he picked the gun up and shot it, and it went right in that notch. And I couldn't believe it, you know, that he could do
Gosh,
that.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was the first time he ever showed us, you know, how to do that. And of course, then he gave us all the safety instructions and how you must always stand behind the other one and all those things.
Yeah.
We put a lot of bullets in that tree, I remember.
Yeah.
We shot a lot of tin cans
Yeah.
in front of that tree.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever got many animals. We used to shoot some groundhogs, but I guess that was about.
You remember the time we tried to shoot crows?
Yeah,
Oh, we never
get
could
a
hit
crow,
crows,
could we?
But rabbits we were pretty good at.
Yeah, with the shotgun. I don't think we ever hit anything with the
No,
22.
I don't think it. Well, remember the sight on it. There was something wrong with it.
Yeah, that's right. I think it got broken off or something.
Yeah.
I was trying to get that thing to work.
I always liked the .22 better than that 12-gauge kicked like
Oh, yeah.
a mule.
Yeah, that was really something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had this old 2 double-barrel shotgun that we used to take out 12-gauge, and it really kicked. That's the one that got stolen. Living at Reelsville.
That was probably a real nice gun. Lefevre.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it was.
Lefevre. And it had those two, remember how we used to clean that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to take good care of those.
And break it open, couldn't you take the
Yeah,
stock
you
off
take it
of
to
the...
apart, yeah.
Yeah. And then Joe Burlett gave us the 16
Wow.
gauge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a nice
George
one. I
must
think
have
George
had
has that.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little fancier. I think it was sort of a bolt action or something. It was kind
And you said about the revolver
Yeah.
that was pretty impressive. Like, that was one big gun.
Yeah,
Remember,
yeah, it was like a 6-shooter. Remember
He
that?
I couldn't pull the trigger.
I couldn't either.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was really very, very. And the interesting thing about that, the holster was left-handed. Do you remember that? It was for your left side. And I always wondered if Grandpa
That's right.
was left-handed or whether that just happened to be.
Or you just cross over
Yeah.
like this to get it.
Or he wore it. But,
Yeah. I know, I had forgotten that.
yeah.
I didn't forget we had a holster, but we did, didn't we?
Uh-huh.
Put that on tape about the name anyway. Am I rolling here?
Yeah, we were just saying that we would like to make some comments about great grandmother and grandmother, but Guthrie, but we didn't know them at all. And grandmother's maiden name was Bowman, and that's how our dad got his name, and also Bo got his name.
Mhm.
But as far as anecdotes, I think.
Well, I'm not sure when
Now,
she
we do
died.
know the thing about grandmother, though. We could tell some things about when Mom and Dad got together. Remember how they kind of lived, I don't want to say this, they had nice things, you know, and they were, as opposed to being farmers and kind of, and I remember Mom telling about one time when she went to eat at their house when she and Dad were going together, and what was it? I think Mom said, "Oh, you didn't have to bring out the good linen for me," or something to that effect, and Grandmother said, "Well, this is the way we always eat." You know?
Oh, boy.
And then the other story about Grandmother Guthrie taking the chicken leg, and Mom saying that, well, her mother, Ma Drake, always ate the back because she said she liked it, and Grandmother Guthrie said, "Oh, she's just doing that so you kids can have the better parts of the chicken." I always remember that difference between the two grandmothers and their approaches. Can you think of any other?
The background noise from something. Well, it might be the refrigerator, I suppose. Well, it's not going to be a perfect tape, but then it would probably play it on television or radio anyway.
I wouldn't think so.
Well, we could talk about Modrake.
Yeah, we knew
Lots
Modrake.
of things about that.
Considerably better. That's
Maybe we
right.
ought to talk about her and
We
then
probably should. Yeah.
move into our own childhood after that.
Don't forget about Dan Craig too.
Oh, tell that one. Tell that one. You got to tell that one.
Well, I don't remember everything about it, but now that family, Ma Drake and Pa Drake, came from Kentucky, and I believe that Ma Drake's mother, that would be our great grandmother, was named Blackaby.
Oh gosh,
I think so.
that's right. And then the cons are in there too.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's see.
How does that?
Ma's name was Kahn. She was Nancy Kahn
That's right.
because Uncle Bob Kahn was her brother, and so was Jesse.
Mhm.
Uncle Jesse. remember
Oh,
Uncle
right.
Jesse?
Yeah, right.
He talked to the television.
Yeah, right.
Played the fiddle.
Drank a lot of beer.
Blackaby must have been.
Maybe that was next generation.
Ma Drake's mother-in-law? No. Yeah. No, mother-in-law would be Drake. Granny Drake.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know who the Blackabys are, but I remember that name came in when Mother talked about going down to visit her.
Well, at any rate, we're sort of, maybe we can get that filled in.
Right.
Tom Drake,
Yeah,
if you're interested in genealogy on that side of the
Call
family, Tom Drake, our cousin, has traced that very well and knows all about that branch of the family. But anyway, as we recall, that really was the days when people went courting, when they just needed a wife, and Pa Drake went over the hill and needed a wife, and he married Ma Drake. I think she was, I don't know, 13 or 14, very, very young.
Pretty young, yeah.
And Pa Drake was quite a bit older, and they moved to Indiana and settled on a farm near Indianapolis and grew tobacco. And I remember one of the things Mom telling about, there were 8 kids in her family then, and they all had to go out and pick tobacco worms off the tobacco and pinch their heads off, which was their most hated chore, I guess. But anyway, they also brought a person up with them by the name of Dan Craig, who knew all about raising tobacco, and Dan was a bachelor. Never took a bath in the wintertime, but always wore these long underwear, and Mom said that his skin would always be really white under that long underwear. But he always said that God didn't make it, he didn't expect people to take baths in the wintertime, otherwise he'd have made the water warm, because of course Dan always just bathed in the creek. He didn't have showers in those days. So Dan would come in, when they moved into town after they left the farm, sort of retired, I guess, Dan would come around and Pa Drake would read him the newspaper because Dan couldn't read, and they would discuss politics. The one I was thinking about, though, was riding in the car.
Yeah.
Is that what you go ahead and tell that?
No, go ahead and tell that. You're on a roll. Go for it.
Well, in those days, of course, they didn't call them cars; they called them machines. And so they bought a machine when they lived in town, and it was always kind of suspicious. But our cousin Jack Dearman would take care of the car and wash it and keep it.
He must have been a
running.
teenager.
In fact, I think he would drive him places.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
I
Yeah,
think
he was
that's
a
right.
teenager. So he would keep the car really polished up. So one day they went for a ride, and I have to say that Dan Craig had a very unique way of swearing. Instead of saying "God damn" or more common swearing things, he'd always say "I God" instead. So now, of course, they all chewed tobacco. They grew tobacco and they chewed tobacco. So they were going for this ride in the machine, and Pa Drake had this jaw of tobacco, and he attempted to spit out the window. But as it turned out, the window was so clean, he didn't realize it was rolled up. And he got this big splatter out of the window, and of course Dan Craig said, "Well, I God, Drake, can you see the window was rolled up?" So that's the story we remember about that.
And then we always asked Mother what Pa Drake responded, and she always, I think, made up something like, "Well, God damn it, I couldn't tell it wasn't so damn clean."
Pa Drake was known for his swearing, and
Yeah.
Mom always told us he just couldn't talk really without swearing. And it was a great burden for him when the minister would come by to sit on the porch and talk, because he could hardly talk. And I think he finally did say, "Well, God damn it, I can't talk without swearing, so we just have to." But I think the minister allowed for that with Pa Drake. I think he was a good man, but he certainly did like to swear.
And they said that he really ruled the family, and they never spoke at the table or had conversation except that he talked. Isn't that the way?
That's right. He and Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe was
Right.
the oldest.
Yeah.
And they would talk
And
politics.
he worked at the bank.
That's right.
Yeah.
And everybody else just kept quiet,
Mhm.
and they talked business.
And he would only eat biscuits or cornbread because he called the store-bought bread wasp's nest.
Yes, that's
Wasp's
right.
nest.
That's right.
And he said, "I'm not going to eat that damn wasp's nest. I'm going to have good solid bread." So Ma Drake made biscuits. I suppose she made them every morning.
I think so.
And
She used to get up and kill chickens in the morning too, and fry them for breakfast. Remember that?
I don't remember that.
Yeah. She'd get up and kill a chicken and pluck it.
I guess that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the farmhands, she'd have to do it.
They had one particular farmhand. She always did all this, would get up and have it all ready, and they'd all come down. But there was one particular farmhand, I don't remember his name, but she loved that man because he would get up and make the fire for her in the morning and help her.
Mm-hmm.
He was the only one. The rest of them just waited for her to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Hard work in those days, I guess.
You remember Mom talking about wanting to go to school?
No, I don't remember.
Yeah, she was so anxious to go to school, and she used to cry to go to school.
Oh, yeah.
And she'd
remember
scoot
that.
right on the old school bus.
Yeah.
But I can't
Now, this
remember
was a
that
horse-drawn
story.
school
Yeah, it was
bus,
a horse-drawn
right?
school bus, and
Yeah.
she'd sit up by the bus driver.
Yeah, it had a little pot-belly stove in the front, right, to keep them warm.
Well, I was going to say that, but then
No,
I
I
didn't
think that's right, yeah.
there was a stove on the bus.
I
you
think so, a little small little.
It was small.
We never saw it, of course. But
Yeah.
I think that's right.
Well, it's okay. We're probably right if we both remember it that way.
But how about this? Aunt Nene taught the class, didn't she?
Mm-hmm. She did one
Yeah.
place. I
And
don't know where it was.
this was Mom's older sister.
Mhm.
You know, as I said, there were 8 in the family, so there's quite a range of ages.
Yeah.
So by the time Mom went to school, her older sister was actually teaching the school. It's a one-room schoolhouse.
Now,
Yeah.
did she teach in the one-room schoolhouse, or did she teach in town?
That's a good question.
She may have taught in town. You have to check
Yeah.
with Jet on that, too.
Yeah, you might be right about that.
I don't remember for sure.
Let's see, who are the other colorful? How about Aunt Dick?
Oh, Aunt Dick, yes. Aunt
She was a
Dick.
colorful character.
She is. She is really. Smoked a pipe and wore baseball socks.
But what about that? Remember, she only smoked a pipe in the outhouse.
Yeah.
She didn't want people to know that.
And her name, this one got me, was Emily.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
I didn't
and she had
remember.
this beautiful name, but she refused to. She was really eccentric, and she refused to be called by it, so she was Aunt Dick.
You remember the story about they used to take her food, you know, when she
Yeah.
was older, and the time that Mom was taking food over there, and she had an accident of some kind, and the food spilled all in the car, you know.
Yeah.
And she was so embarrassed about it, she told him that it was dog food that she was taking. She didn't want to say that
Oh,
she was
yeah,
taking it.
yeah. I didn't ever thought about that.
That was funny.
Yeah, you're right, though. She did smoke in the outhouse. But she was rich, right? She was the one,
That's
she
right.
loaned
That's
all the
right.
money to
To
buy
get-
the farm, I think, or something.
Well, it was to put. Did she put some kids through college too? I can't remember. You're right. No, I think it was
They
the
didn't go to
farm. You're
college,
right. You're
so-
right. It was the farm.
It had something to do with the farm. And she was apparently a shrewd businesswoman, but
Well, they lived in Greenwood when we knew them, right there on the main
Yeah.
street in Greenwood, right next to the old. What was it?
You-
Community center.
yeah, right, yeah, right there on Broadway.
You would have tell about Mom and her. Mom used to her
Oh, yeah.
piano playing. She told a story about when she was, I think, around 5 years old. She couldn't really reach the piano, but she would stand at the piano and chord while Grandpa, both Grandpa, or Pa Drake, and Uncle Bob played fiddle.
Played the fiddle, yeah.
And so they would fiddle and she would chord.
At 5 years old,
Yeah, at that age. And then, of course, eventually took lessons and really learned to play very, very well. But what I was going to tell was that one of her early jobs was playing at the silent movies. And she and there was a violin player, I believe, would play the music that went with the movies.
You know, I suppose that's where she really learned to play by ear, because
I suppose.
I imagine she just sort of played along with whatever was on the screen.
Yeah.
I wish we'd asked her to tell more about that, because that is a fascinating memory.
Yeah, that really is, yeah. And then I guess she went a year or two to Franklin College,
Yeah.
didn't she?
Yeah, she went on the interurban line.
Yeah, right. In those days, they had these. They were like trolley cars, I guess,
Mhm.
were the electric trolley cars, but they went between cities. So she rode that to Franklin School, and then got a job at L.S. Ayers as a secretary.
Right.
And went up to town to work.
In the meantime, Dad was going to Wabash, I guess, and
So,
working at Turkey Run in the summertime.
but
They
they
met-
also lived in Greenwood. That's how they met.
Right. Didn't they meet at a New Year's dance?
I believe you're right.
And then they got married on New Year's.
That's right, because remember the story? She was with, what was that?
Bert
guy's
Van
name?
Arsdale.
Bert Van
Who had the
Arsdale.
twins
Yeah,
and
that
whatnot.
played basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, at IU. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We always speculated what would have happened if
Yeah.
Mom and Bert had gotten married and said maybe we'd have been basketball players. Anyway, Yeah, it was at that dance when Dad saw her there, and he said, "I'm gonna
See, they said it was
leave her,"
rare
or
that
something.
girl.
Yeah,
didn't you?
something like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
it was. Yeah, and he moved right in on old Bert, and that was
the end of Bert.
it. Yeah. So Mom said she used to see him walk by. He was a very, very tall, thin man at that time, and
Bert must have been pretty tall too, I think.
I suppose. Yeah.
His sons played basketball.
Yeah. But anyway, they got together and got married in, I don't know what year.
Well, he gave her his pin, but I don't know. Well, let's see, what year would it have been?
He graduated in 1925, right, from Wabash. And were they married then? No, they were married then, I guess.
I think 25 or 26.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Because Jet was born in 28.
That's right, yeah.
Because I was born in 38, and you were born in
42.
42, and George was born in 32.
32.
Yeah. Sure was nice they figured it out that way.
That's right, we always wondered how they planned that out. A lot easier. It's easy to remember.
Keeping track, yeah.
That's right.
Well, let's see, do we have any more stories about Ma Drake? Or I remember, do you remember going over to Aunt Ada's and having butter and sugar
Yes,
sandwiches?
yes, I definitely
Yeah.
do. And they had that neat tricycle, remember, that the chain went back to the back wheels instead of having the pedals on the front wheel like all of our tricycles had. It was sort of like a bicycle, only it had 3 wheels. Do you remember that?
No.
It must have been Jack Dearman's, I suppose.
Yeah. I remember Jack worked for Gerber Baby Food,
Did he?
and his horn played Rockabye Baby on his car.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that we used to go over to Ada's and have those great bread.
Yeah,
Sugar.
and sugar. We
Yeah.
never did have many places.
That's right.
I remember.
That's the only thing.
And then, of course, I remember playing with Bud.
Yeah.
That was the big
Yeah.
thing that we did in Greenwood, it seems to me, whenever we went over there.
Yeah, he was enough older than us that he would
Yeah.
always do neat things that we
Yeah.
hadn't really discovered yet.
I can't remember, though, what kind of games did we play? Do you remember? I remember we had a huge sand pile.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, that house they had there on whatever it was.
Beach Grove.
Yeah, Beach Grove.
Beach
That's
Grove,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. Seems to me like we played things like
It was
cops
Beach
and
Park.
robbers and
It was Beach Park, wasn't it?
yeah, it was Beach Park.
And Beach Grove is up the road there.
Yeah,
Beach Park.
yeah.
Cops and robbers.
Yeah, I don't remember what all we did, but it always seemed like there was a lot of neat stuff with him.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, he always got involved in our games or made-up games that we played, as I remember.
Yeah.
I can remember using the printing press and making things, but
Oh, yeah.
it's funny, that's just sort of faded. I used to be able to remember that pretty well, but
Yeah.
Well, let's see, is there anything else in Greenwood before we move to the Knob? You remember the time I went to Aunt Mary's for Thanksgiving?
No, I don't remember that.
That's the only time I can really see clearly having a family reunion at her house. It was Thanksgiving. And either you or I made a turkey out of an apple with toothpicks in it.
I remember that.
That's all I can remember about that Thanksgiving, except we all got together. It was one of the
Yeah.
rare times, I think, when we had a family reunion
Huh.
At her house.
Yeah.
In fact, I can't remember. Of course, in later years, then we got together with Aunt Ethel, but that comes later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take it away, Aunt Woody.
Oh, well, we were just thinking if there were any loose ends there. One of the things I should mention is that the Drakes were very, very strong Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they just, they were very, very, and so Aunt Woody, let's see, what is the story now? Did
Well,
she,
her name was Wilson.
Okay, and
Yeah,
so
Woodrow Wilson
Woodrow
was the
Wilson,
president.
yeah, was the president, and of course, then being the strong Democratic influence, they ended up calling her Woody for short, and although her name's Ruth, but we never knew her as Ruth, always Aunt Woody.
In fact, we never, and Aunt Nene the same way. Her name was Lena,
That's right.
and we called her Aunt Nene.
Yeah.
And Toddy.
His name
Was
was Floss.
Floss.
Uh-huh.
Aunt Ethel was the only one that kept her same name, I think.
That's right.
Everybody else
Good nicknames.
changed, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, are we ready to move to the Knob?
Yeah, I guess so. Can't think of anything else. Uncle Bob was a great carpenter. I remember that.
Yeah. And Uncle Don used to take us to the airport. Remember
Yeah, and the ball games. Remember
Mhm.
that? We used to go see the
Yeah.
Indianapolis Indians play.
Mhm.
They were a AAA team, I guess, or
Yeah.
something. But we thought it was the greatest thing that ever happened because
Yeah.
we never saw anything that professional. So that was great. Uncle Don was he was sort of like in another world for
Yeah.
us.
Well, he used to buy us White
Sure.
Castles, remember?
Yeah, that's
Sacks
right.
of White Castles, and we go out
That's
and
right.
watch the airplanes.
12-cent hamburgers, they were.
Yeah. On the record.
Great, though. We loved those things. That was right. Yeah, I used to
You remember
buy some-
sliding down their bathtub?
No, I don't remember.
Don't you remember that?
No.
We never did that at home, but Aunt Ethel used to let us slide down her bathtub. And we'd get it all slicked up, and then we'd go sliding down.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't remember that one.
It was in an apartment someplace, and we
Yeah,
went
they
over
always
and
they
stayed.
moved around a lot.
It's the only time we stayed away
Yeah.
from home, I think,
Oh,
when we were
yeah?
younger, is when we went to Aunt Ethel's, I think. Yeah, I can't remember any of it.
Yeah. I suppose we should.
We need to describe the
we
knob a
should-
little bit.
Yeah, but maybe we should put the Turkey Run era. Of course, we don't remember that really.
No,
They
we're
were-
gonna, if we really get serious about this, we're gonna have to get Jordan.
That's
Jeff
right.
to-
We'll have to get them to fill in. But we should at least say that the dad worked at Turkey Run during the summers when he was at Wabash for Mrs. Luke,
Mhm.
and then when he got out of Wabash, he went down and bought her out very shortly after
Remember
that.
remember his roommate with a turkey style?
I don't
You ever hear
remember.
that one?
I don't
That was
think
the
I
only
remember
story I
that.
remember from the summers when he worked there.
Yeah.
Said he had a roommate who didn't believe in showers, but just had a brisk rough down with a turkey style, and he said it got pretty rank sometimes. I'll never
Oh,
forget
also,
that.
didn't they say they used to race getting dressed, and the other guy would always beat him because he wore no underwear?
That might be. That sounds like the same guy. I wonder who that was.
I don't know.
Okay, so Mrs. Luke was there, and Dad was there in the summer times.
Yeah, in those days,
Oh,
Turkey
there's a
Run
lot.
was really run by one person, not like it is today, where it's all broken up. Somebody has the hotel, somebody has the grounds, and so on. But one person ran the whole thing, so just leased the whole thing and ran it. So Dad bought Mrs. Luke out, and he ran Turkey Run for, I don't know, until. When did he leave there? 38?
Well, it was during the
9?
war. No, it was later than that, because I can
Later than that.
remember Turkey Run. Do you remember Turkey Run at all?
No.
Okay, so and you were born in 42.
42. I can remember a
So-
couple things about the war, though. That fascinates the kids sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, it's things, just these flashes that the little
Yeah.
kids might have. Because I must have just been 2 or 3.
Yeah.
right? But I remember when they used to go out and have
Air
air
raids.
raids.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
and the
yeah.
thing, of course, that impressed me was they would put this red crepe paper over
Over
the
the
flashlights
flashlights,
to wave down the
And you
cars.
remember where we had to go so that we couldn't be
Yeah,
seen?
up in that little hallway where there were no windows upstairs. Yeah, so there were no. And we had this bell, like a dinner bell. Remember that? And they always said they would ring that if
Oh,
there was
yeah,
an air
yeah.
raid for warning. So yeah, I can remember.
That,
and
that
smashing
really
cans.
is hard
Can
to
you
do.
remember that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Taking
and
soaking them
stairs.
and taking the
Yeah.
labels off and then smashing the
Yeah,
cans.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those are about the only things I can remember. But
Well, I don't remember when he left specifically. We'll have to get that date from Jet. But I do know that it was during the wartime and because of the war that he left.
yeah.
And that's when the whole knob thing started up, I think.
Well, he was building the house, I guess. It was finished about in 38, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, it was finished
So-
in 37, I think.
Was
No,
it?
maybe it was
Okay.
38. 37 or 38. I think
Yeah.
maybe he was a year older than I was.
Yeah. So he'd been building that while they were at Turkey Run.
Yeah.
And it was,
Oh, yeah, we were living over there.
Yeah.
When I was born, so.
It was a very, very large house. In fact, they had an architect from Indianapolis, I think, design it.
Reich, Mr. Reich.
That's
remember?
right.
Yeah.
And he kind of went wild. I mean, Dad and Mom told him what they wanted in it, and he just really went kind of crazy with it. And I remember Dad saying that he thought he was really in over his head at one point, that he was just going to have trouble really paying for the thing because it got so they got so carried away with it. But it did turn out to be a beautiful house. And I remember the scary thing was that they already had the basement, I think, in and quite a ways along, and then they started to drill a well, and they couldn't find any water, and they just went, and finally, I think at 210 feet or something like that, they
I was going
found
to say
water.
265.
Maybe it was. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a very deep well
Yeah,
for those
yeah,
days.
it was. Best water.
But yeah, wonderful water. But that was a scary.
Remember that old pump? Your pump sounds sort of like that.
Yeah,
Ka-chunk,
it's
ka-chunk,
very
ka-chunk.
similar to the deep well pumps that we had
Yeah.
there. Exactly right. Yeah, we had quite a water system in that place. I always loved that because I guess I liked all kinds of mechanical things anyway. And we had this deep well pump that pumped the water out of the well into these two, I think they were like 5,000 gallon tanks. They were huge tanks into the ground. And then we had just a pressure pump in that would pump out of that into a small tank that supplied the house. And I always liked to go down there. I used to
That was quite a
overhaul
room.
those pumps. Yeah, we had a pump room actually where those things were all
Yeah, we
located.
had, we had the deep well pump that went ka-chung, 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 ka-chung like
Yeah.
that. And then we had the one that went
Yeah.
and that was for the knob.
That's
wasn't it?
right, yeah. And it actually supplied the little house for a while too. I
Right, the
think.
knob and the little house,
Yeah.
which was, how far away was that?
Oh, quite a ways, yeah.
That was really amazing.
Probably a
when you
quarter of a
think about
mile.
it.
I don't know, that was quite a ways.
I mean, that was 1938, and
Yeah.
here was this pump that pumped a quarter of a mile.
Yeah.
And then across the road would have been
Yeah.
even farther, across the road to the little house.
Well, that's probably a quarter of a mile. It was a tenth of a mile up to the knob.
Yeah, that's right.
Remember we had those speedometers on
Yeah,
our bikes
right,
we used
yeah.
to ride up there? Yeah.
I'd forgotten
That's
those.
funny.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then we had a furnace room. We had quite an elaborate furnace system. It was kind of a new innovation for the time. Remember, it heated steam, and then the steam went
Had a
through kind of
coil.
a
Heated
coil,
coil.
That then air blew through to
Mhm.
have hot air heat. And we had coal that was augered in to the
Boy,
furnace.
did it smoke.
And yeah, the engineering
Dad
was not
used to.
great.
I always felt like after Dad died that I felt the closest to him in the furnace room.
Yeah,
Because he
yeah.
spent so much time down there getting that thing to work.
Yeah, we had this furnace.
He
that-
must have known quite a bit about pumps and things like that because he was
Yeah.
always working on stuff.
Yeah. This furnace it blew air in. Not only did it auger the coal, but then it blew air in to make it burn hotter, and it would make these real big clinkers. We call them. They were
Cinders.
Cinders,
But
yeah.
they-
And you'd
yeah,
have
they
to
were
break those up
huge.
and take them out once a
We
week.
paved our road with
That's
that.
right,
remember?
that's
You
right.
Taking it down.
Worst bike accident I ever had was coming down that hill, and
Oh.
I turned that corner and skidded on the cinders and tore open my knee.
Mm.
That was really terrible. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. We always filled up all the potholes with those things. Yeah.
Some of those things were monsters too.
Stop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's do that.
There we go.
Yeah. We're on again.
Yeah. Why don't you tell about all the equipment that Dad brought from Turkey Run when he left?
I mean, that's the wrong way. This is the way it should be. Now we're on a tape. I think. Yeah. The equipment?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, he was at Turkey Run until the early 40s, we think. And he decided it wasn't patriotic to go ahead and encourage people to spend their money to come for recreation's sake. So he wanted to shut down the inn, right? Or he wanted to shut down the whole park, I guess, maybe. I'm not sure what the story
I
was.
think the other thing was that it got political. They
Yeah,
decided
well,
to
then-
divide up the
Well,
park.
but see, I think what happened, as I remember it, is that he would not do it because he didn't think it was patriotic, and they said you have to do it or else we'll buy you out. And
Okay.
and I guess that's what they did then. And anyway, they wouldn't pay him what he thought he should get.
Well, you just had them buying, they wanted to buy out the equipment, but Dad didn't think they offered enough, so he took it all with him.
Right.
And you were telling about the commissary.
Oh yeah, and so they used to have in those days they had wooden commissaries, frame commissaries, and I think they were starting to go to all the brick commissaries. So the state wouldn't pay him either wouldn't buy it at all or wouldn't pay him what he thought he should get for it. And so he sawed the thing in half and moved it 2.5 miles and then reassembled it. I would love to have seen that, you know. I mean, that must have really been something to see that moving down the road.
Actually, if you go there today and look closely, you can see the line where
Yeah.
you saw it in two. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that was fascinating.
Hmm. And he put it together, and that became 2.5 miles from Turkey Run. That became Gobblers Knob officially, although the whole place was called Gobblers Knob. And
Do you remember how that name came about?
didn't George Chris?
I think he did.
Yeah. It was called. It had Hillcrest Farm was spelled. It was on a hill overlooking Roaring Creek, and it was 100 acres on two sides of US 41, and on the hillside in what are those flowers called?
Daffodils.
Not daffodils.
No,
Are they?
I think they were.
Good enough. Anyway, on the hill spelled out in daffodils was Hillcrest Farm, or Hillcrest, I guess. So apparently that was one of the names that the place had. But George Chris, our next door neighbor, who was kind of an eccentric himself, said why they used to call that Gobbler's Knob.
I think he was joking, though, wasn't he? Didn't they
I don't
decide
know.
later? But at any rate,
Mhm.
the name stuck.
Yeah,
and we
and
always
it's still that way.
we
As far
always
as we
called
know.
it Gobbler's Knob because it was on a hill. And
Gobbler's Knob on Roaring Creek.
that's right.
Yeah. And Burn Oak Inn.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. The house was an English Tudor style house and had a lot of heavy oak timber that was all very dark brown stain, and that's where the burnt oak came from. And our dad, after he left Turkey Run, tried a number of things to make a living, and one of them was opening our house as an inn, and they called it Burnt Oak Inn. And then Gobbler's Knob sort of became the commissary. I mean, we called it that, and it was a restaurant for a while.
Had the elbow room.
That's right.
I never
yeah,
did know where that
yeah.
name came from.
And Isel cooked, Isel
Yeah.
Harmon.
Isel Harmon. Denny was the front man.
That's right. Denny was our cousin.
And
Uh,
Denny and Jenny lived in the sod roof.
that's right. Yeah.
And although did Uncle Bob build that?
I think Uncle Bob Drake built the side.
Aunt Woody
roof.
said
Yeah.
that she thought he just put the roof on.
No, I think he built
But
it.
I thought he built that.
Yeah, I think so.
I thought he built the log cabin too.
Yeah. He might have.
But-
yeah.
It was quite a place because we had 100 acres and we had a log cabin, what they call the sod roof, which was simply a kind of a
It was like a
French-
Swiss chalet or
yeah,
French. I don't know. Yeah.
Swiss chalet, and they actually put sod up on the roof.
Yeah.
And so
Remember,
that's-
Denny used to get up there with a
And
sickle
trim
and
it,
cut. Yeah. Had irises growing
Right.
along the top.
and they
That's
had
funny.
the two little banty roosters called Candy and Poppet.
Oh yeah.
I think it was Candy and Poppet, wasn't it?
I don't remember the
That
names.
Susan had.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they lived there, and then Jack and Maureen, Jack Dearman, our cousin,
Uh-huh.
and Maureen, his wife, our cousin-in-law from England,
Mhm.
lived in the inn for a while.
Yeah.
And we lived in the little house.
Now the little house was actually, if you can believe this, was made from leftover materials from building
Yeah.
the big
that's
house.
incredible.
So it was a similar style, but about half the size, I would say.
Hmm.
And it was across the road, actually across from Gobbler's Knob, from the commissary.
Hmm.
In a very, very large apple orchard.
And around the apple orchard were cabins
That's right.
that Dad had brought with him. They were also apparently something the state didn't want. So he had brought those over. And they were single or double room cabins, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, and they were all furnished, and he rented them. That was in the days when you had cabins, and he rented those cabins.
Yeah.
Then we had Sally's Pantry,
Yeah. That's
which
right.
was before my time. I don't remember that.
No, I don't either. But again, I think Uncle Bob built things to sell there.
Could
Isn't
be.
that right? Yeah,
I
small.
don't know about Sally's Pantry. Jet will have to give us
Yeah.
that
Yeah, I
because
don't know
I
either.
don't know about that. So there was three small houses, the big house,
Mhm.
which we turned into Burn Oak Inn, and then the commissary. You know, he really had quite an empire there when you
Yeah.
think about it. It
That's
didn't
right.
really dawn on me there. I didn't think of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a free enterpriser.
He was probably one of the biggest employers of people in Park County.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Almost everybody, if they didn't know him personally, knew who Bill Guthrie was. And I don't think he ever turned anybody down for a job. He always found work, even during the Depression. Many people were employed by Dad.
Mm-hmm.
And he did a lot of neat things at Turkey Run, a lot of imaginative things, and it just really thrived.
Well, it's interesting, the employees still have reunions every so often.
That's right.
The Guthrie employees reunion.
That's right. Yeah.
And they really were like a family, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I had very fond memories of those days, I think. So anyway, the equipment story I was
You were leading up to
yeah, I was
equipment story.
leading up to
You're
it.
gonna have to say it.
Never got there. Was okay. So Dad moved all this equipment that he had from Turkey Run, and one of the things they had was this huge laundry equipment, and it was also in our basement at the Knob at Burn Oak Inn, and we had this great big wash machine that had all kinds of pulleys and levers and belts that ran the thing, and
extractor,
and then an
the
extractor, right? That you could get the water out, and then a dryer, which never really worked very well because we never had enough hot water or hot air to really make that work well. But and then we had a very large mangle. Now I don't think many people use a mangle these days, but it was had a roller on it and heated, and use it to iron sheets and pillowcases and things like that. So we had this really large equipment in our basement. In the garage we had a potato
how many sheets
masher,
could we wash?
peeler.
You remember that?
I don't remember the number, but it was a lot. It was really
yeah, you could wash. I think you could wash 10 sheets, 10 or 13 sheets in that. Remember, it was a wooden tub
it was
for the washer, and it went around.
Yeah.
Instead of this way, it went. What would that way be?
Yeah. Instead of being vertical, it was horizontal.
That's right. Yeah, and it circled horizontally.
I love that thing because there's so much
neat.
mechanical stuff to it that.
Had a big clutch on the top of it. Remember?
Yeah.
And you throw it in and out again.
Huge motors on those things, and the pumps too. In fact, we had 3-phase electricity in that house, which is something no one else ever had.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was, we had our own special transformer for that stuff. Interesting,
yeah. Yeah, Mom did a lot of washing in that basement.
And the barn. We had a barn too.
Oh,
You
yeah,
mentioned the
tell
houses,
about the
but
barn. That was one of your favorites.
We had a horse barn, which again, the horses were before our days. That was back in really the Turkey Run days, but we had this nice horse barn with a tack room, a couple of saddles in there, and I guess later on then, when Bo and I got into our agricultural era, we converted it into a hog barn, and cattle barn, and various projects that we had of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Put up hay.
Should we go into that now, or do you think we ought to work up to that?
We could, yeah.
We're right there, so why don't we?
Yeah,
There's some things I'd like to back up to get when we were younger,
Okay.
but I think we can go for that. Well, let's see. I was trying to tell Carolyn all the things that we had. Dad let us essentially equip a mini farm.
That's right.
You know.
That's right. I can remember still. Remember, he had those big white voucher envelopes. That I guess they must have been left over
from Turkey Run.
From Turkey Run, and I can remember him writing on the front of it, "Farm Enterprise," and said, "Now,
I didn't remember that.
Put your bills in here, and we'll keep track of this, and we'll figure out,
Did we do it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't
We'd
remember
go
that
into
part
the
of it
Farm
at all.
Bureau. We'd put our bills in there.
Well, it all started when we were down in Reelsville.
That's
we
right.
were in high school, I guess. Or I was in high school.
Yeah, I was in the 7th grade when we went to Reelsville. Yeah.
And we, I don't know whether we ought to tell about the Reelsville experience or get into...
We could, because it sort of leads into the farm.
Yeah, we could tell at least that part of the Reelsville experience,
Yeah.
which is really the most. Well, we had through FFA, we decided
That's
to
the
have
Future Farmers of America.
2 hogs. And we didn't have any place to keep them because we lived in town, I guess, didn't we? We lived at the
Yeah,
the
such as it
Loivas.
was, right?
In Loivas.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were renting a house because Dad was down there. We're skipping now a lot.
That's right, yeah.
But we just, since we got into this farm thing, we ought to just do that right now while we're thinking about our farm experience, this would be called. And so we got 2 pigs out of KD's. Out of Kenny Johnson's.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we bought 2. You remember when KD explained to me how to tell the difference between a male and a female?
Yeah, now KD, his name was Kenny Miller. He was our
Right.
ag teacher at Reelsville.
Kenny Miller and Mrs. Miller.
That's right. They were young, newly married folks, and we thought KD was really neat because
Yeah, he was.
He was really a man's man, you might say.
Yeah.
So go ahead about the pigs.
Well, so anyway, KD said that he would keep our pigs for us, and in return we could come up there and work for him, I think is the way we did it.
Help
So
them out. Yeah, we'd gather the eggs.
instead of playing basketball, we had our afternoon projects of going up there and working on the farm, and that was really fun. I enjoyed that a lot. Remember when you rode the tractor? To keep
Yeah.
it from getting out of the ditch or whatever it was, keep it from turning over supposedly.
Yeah.
Oh, that was incredible.
He used to like to work in cool weather, like in the fall, and he always called that working weather. And then every now and then, we'd stop, smoke and blow. He liked to
I
smoke,
remember that, yeah.
so we'd smoke and talk. And
Yeah.
that was KD.
Yeah, that was KD. Remember how he used to blow his horn when he'd go to the covered bridges?
Yeah.
Because Mrs. Miller didn't like that. And they had his and her jellies.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
And he'd extend his finger.
His little
to-
pinky.
his little pinky.
Yeah.
He was quite a guy. I wonder where he is now.
I don't know.
Nice looking fellow too, I remember.
We liked
Always
KD.
wore khakis.
But he
Anyway.
taught us a lot about farming in those days.
He told me how to
Oh,
tell a
go
male
ahead.
from a female hog, because I didn't have any idea, and they were picking out different ones. And we were going to buy 1 male and 1 female, a barrow and a gilt.
What about more and gilt?
No, barrow, because they were castrated.
They weren't then, were they? Didn't
I think so.
wasn't that what we learned to do with KD?
Oh, did we castrate?
Oh, well, he did. Yeah,
We didn't.
later. That was later.
Oh, I was
We
thinking
probably
that-
won't tell that story out here.
It's too gory. Anyway, he had this little smile that he'd get on his face when I suppose we asked stupid questions. And I asked him, I said, well, Mr. Miller, how do you tell the difference between a male and a female? He said, you see that one over there? And I said, yeah. And he said, you see that tobacco pouch at the back end? And I said, yeah. And he said, that's the way you tell.
Yes, we were quite naive, weren't we? Remember those chickens he had, though? They would lay eggs all over that
Yeah.
barn, up in the hayloft.
Oh, yeah.
You had to climb
And
all
we had
over
to
that
collect
barn
them.
to find them, yeah.
And we had to clean it out, too. I remember
Yeah.
cleaning it out, and that chicken house smelled. Oh, that was a real introduction to farming.
Yeah.
I liked best when we were working on the fences, though.
Yeah,
That was-
right,
that was
putting
fun.
fences, that was great. That's when we smoked and blowed.
Smoked and blowed.
Smoked and blowed, yeah. But you remember the story about the hay? Now that one, this is an important one because it's where the better than snowballs expression came from.
No.
You
I
don't remember that one?
I don't remember that one at all.
Well, we used to take these agriculture classes from KD at Reelsville, and so one day we were having this discussion in there about hay, and he was telling us all about different kind of, clover hay, timothy hay. You can even make hay out of soybeans if you want to. But and the value, how good these different kinds of hays were for cattle. And so at the knob, we always had all this bluegrass. That just sort of grew there. I suppose Dad planted it at some point, but that's what we had in all the fields, and we used to just go out and mow it, just for nothing. So.
Should we stop?
So anyway, I asked him. I said, "Well, what do you think about bluegrass for hay? Because we had those bluegrass." And he looked at me and he said, "Well, it's better than snowballs." So we did make some bluegrass hay after that, but KD was right. It really never made great hay. So that expression has stuck. Whatever something is not that
Better than
great,
snowball.
why it's better than snowball.
I'll have to add that one to my KD stories.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that was the beginning, really, of our farm operation, I think, wasn't it?
Pretty much.
And then we moved back to the Knob from
Mhm.
Reelsville,
Mhm.
and that's when we really got into the farm, the whole
That's
farm
right.
enterprise. We brought Mrs. Pig back.
That's right. Yeah.
And
Built that crate. Remember? Put her
right.
in,
We
yeah.
built the
Big
crate.
hog crate. Yeah.
And you tell about Mrs. Pig, because, and I'll tell you why, because I've told Carolyn, and I want to see how your memories compare to mine.
I don't know that I have that many, remembrances about Mrs. Pig. Of course, she was a wonderful pig. She loved to be scratched behind the ears. But, and I remember when she had her first litter.
What did we scratch her with?
Oh,
You remember?
I don't remember.
I thought it was with a corn cob.
Yeah, that's kind of what I recollect
Okay,
too.
okay.
Yeah. But I remember when she had her first litter, she had 6 pigs, which was
Mhm.
good because KD said she just had enough to take care
Dinner
of.
buckets?
Yeah, right. Take care of. But what impressed me so much about those little pigs were how clean they were.
Yeah.
They were just really, and so cute.
Mhm.
Just really.
Remember how
really
they
cute.
grew? They just became
Yeah.
like little sausages.
Yeah, right.
Just stuffed.
Yeah, that was really neat.
That was one of our most successful farming experiences.
And we went. Now, little pigs, they're born with their teeth, and they have these little sharp teeth, like our bicuspids or whatever they are,
Mhm. That,
and eye
is that the
teeth.
bicep?
Anyway,
Yeah,
I
eye
don't
teeth,
know.
yeah.
And so, what farmers often do is they clip those teeth off, the points of them, so they don't injure the sow. So we went into to the hardware. Oh, we should probably say a word about
Oh,
the
yeah.
hardware in Bloomingdale.
Definitely.
Yeah. Anyway, to buy these side cutter pliers that were specially just, and we still have those here. But we bought them just
We
to
do?
cut those. Yeah.
You
still
got
have
'em?
downstairs? Yeah, those ones
I
with
gotta
the blue
check those
handles.
out.
Oh yeah. But anyway, just as a side note on the hardware, this hardware was it was run by a man by the name of 2 men, Jordan and Woody. They were a partnership that they had all kinds
They
of
were the
things,
first,
actually.
our first exposure to agribusiness.
Yeah,
You know, 'cause
yeah.
they're
They had
really
a
big
farm.
farmers.
Big farmers.
1,000 acres.
It was a lot. Yeah, a lot of cattle.
Yeah.
And
Airstrip.
Yeah, they had an airstrip. That's right, not too far from our place, and they had
Mhm.
this hardware. And but anyway, the hardware was run by a man by the name of
Sandy Osborne.
Sandy Osborne.
Sandy
Yeah,
Osborne.
that's right. And who was the guy that worked with him? C.J. Nelson? C. Roy.
C. Roy Nelson.
That
Oh
was who it
my
was.
gosh,
Yeah.
I'd forgotten
Yeah,
about him.
yeah, that's who it
C.
was.
Roy.
Yeah. And
I always thought that was his name, C. Roy.
Yeah.
It must have been C. Roy
Yeah, I'm
Nelson.
sure it was. Anyway, this hardware had
Boy, I can still see
everything
that.
in it. I
Yeah.
mean, it was just anything you'd want was in that place. And you'd go in there and just ask Sandy or C. Roy
Yeah.
for this stuff. Unfortunately, it burned down in later years and was replaced by a cement block building, which
Oh,
never really
yeah.
had that much character to it.
What a loss.
Yeah, but that was a great. So anyway, I got a little off the track there, but anyway, we got the pigs, and I don't remember too much other about Mrs. Pig. Other
Well,
than
do you
that.
remember the time she got out and got the rotten apples?
No, I don't remember.
You don't remember that?
No.
Oh, that's as clear to me as anything. Isn't that interesting? I wonder if you were there.
I don't know. What
Yeah.
happened?
Well, she broke out of the fence, and I assume she got, she just knew.
Under,
Because
yeah,
remember, we
that
never were
was-
able to ring her. I don't know whether it was out
Yeah,
of
that's true.
squeamishness, not wanting to wring her nose, or whether she just was too big by the time we decided we needed to. But remember how we kept working on that fence, trying
Yeah,
to keep her from
you
getting
always
out?
go under. Yeah.
And we put boards around it finally.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that she got out and we couldn't get her back in. And we finally just followed her to see where she was going to go. And Dad wasn't there, I guess. And she went up and ate rotten apples
Oh my gosh.
in the yard. And then Dad, I remember that's one of the times I heard Dad swear. He said, "You old bastard, you get back in there." She wouldn't move. And then finally she went back in, just. But what else do you remember about her?
I don't remember too much else about her, you know.
That's what Carolyn built her story on, is that
Yeah.
that incident.
No, I can't remember. Did she have other letters? I think she did, didn't she?
Well, we sold her. I think
Did
we
we?
sold her back to the guy that bred her. Remember, we took her up to that
okay.
guy up by Waveland
Oh, okay.
or someplace up in there to get her bred. And then I was trying to think, now, didn't we also bring,
We brought a chicken sitting on duck eggs. Do you remember that?
yeah, and the calf?
Katie
The
was that
heifer?
chicken.
Remember we brought the heifer back?
That's
from-
right. That's right. Betsy. Yeah.
Betsy,
You're
yeah.
right.
We
yeah.
brought her back from Reelsville too.
Yeah, she was a
And then we had a chicken.
calf. Yeah. And that chicken sitting on the duck eggs.
She stepped and hatching the ducks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She was hatching the ducks. Yeah.
Was that a KD's?
Yeah. Yeah. He let
But-
us. He sat. He got her sitting on him for us, and then he let us bring her home in a bushel basket. Remember that?
We brought her all the way back over to the knob,
Mhm.
45 miles.
Yeah.
Well, we brought all our animals in.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten all about Betsy being over at Reelsville, but she was when we were staying out at the Hedges.
Yeah.
That's where we had her.
That's right.
She stepped on me, that's all I can remember about Betsy. Betsy was a beautiful calf, though, don't you remember how
Yeah, she really
She was a combination Angus and Jersey,
Jersey,
I
I
think,
think,
and
yeah.
she had really nice lines.
She was black like Angus, but she had
Mhm.
really fine bones.
Mhm.
Really, really nice, friendly.
Yeah. Not as friendly as Mrs. Pig, though. I can still remember Mrs. Pig, how much she enjoyed being scratched, you know.
Yeah.
And she
We
wiggled.
used to pour oil on her to get rid of the lice.
Yeah, you remember that. Now, I didn't remember
Yeah,
that
yeah.
about the oil, but that,
Just overused engine oil.
and I remember, I don't remember that, but I remember, you know, washing her off and everything.
Yeah.
And then Carolyn was asking me what she ate. And I said all I could remember was she liked melon rinds and things like that. You know?
Yeah, I loved watermelon.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah, we used to feed her some scraps, but I think mostly she ate corn and
She had supplement.
yeah.
I remember the supplement very
Right,
clearly. I don't remember
yeah.
the corn. But
Betsy's calf though was kind of wild. Remember that? He never was. We never could tame him.
I can't remember that calf that well.
Yeah. She was bred to a Hereford, and so the calf came out red with a white face. Remember that?
No, I don't remember that. Oh, wow.
Thank you.
How about that? Thank you.
So, yes, he was never.
If we crackle these, that'd be pretty bad, wouldn't it?
Yeah, if you eat one of those babies, you'll. I think on TV.
Oh, boy.
Drink too.
That's it, huh?
Well, we didn't tell about the
Keep going.
ones we bought from with Joe Brulette, but I don't know whether that's of much interest. The thing that was interesting there, I guess, was that the thing that fascinated us about Joe Brulette was that he always carried huge sums of money, at least it was for us. And so he offered to buy 6 cattle and let us take care of them. And he took this big wad of money out of his pocket and just peeled off the money for us to buy those cattle. In fact, he ended up, I think, going with us to the sale barn to buy them. And we raised those cattle for a year or two and then sold them and gave him his money back. It was,
Remember when they got pink eye?
yeah,
And all went
gosh,
blind?
that was terrible.
Well, I thought that was going to be the end of it.
Yeah, but it eventually cleared up. And
Yeah,
they were okay.
it did clear up. So it was not as bad as we thought it was in the beginning. Let's see, what else do we want to talk about?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. Tell about the old
Well,
F12 with the steel wheels.
Yeah, we had a couple of tractors. One was a small Ford tractor, and the other was an old farmall tractor, which had steel wheels. And you really couldn't get new equipment, I think, because of the war, I guess, wasn't it?
I guess so. I never was quite clear why we didn't. We got the Ford tractor right after the war, didn't we?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Mm-hmm.
So, we had this guy working for us, Wendell Boer,
Yeah.
good friend of the family, and the seat fell off of the old farm and he was telling Dad about it, and he was having to balance the seat on the tractor to drive it, and so our Dad said, well, when the wheels fall off, you can stop driving that tractor. So
You remember Ishmael Beckelheimer?
Oh yeah,
Ishmael
tell the story
Beckelheimer.
about Ishmael.
Ishmael Beckelheimer was a hired hand, and he wasn't real swift. And there were different stories. The only one I remember was the fact that he was. One time they found him trying to lift up a bale of hay that he was standing on. Wasn't that
Yeah.
right? Is that the one you remember?
Yeah, that's the one I remember
Yeah.
too. That's pretty funny. Well, there were some other stories about the farm implements since you were gonna.
Oh yeah. Well, we had a whole collection of old farm implements that we either converted to a 3-point hitch so that we could use them with the Ford tractor, or else we just used them the way they were, I guess. Right.
Yeah, that's right.
'Cause
Most
I
of
don't
them
think
have
we-
been horse-drawn
Right. Yeah.
implements before we got them.
We had a horse-drawn cultivator for corn, and we had a horse-drawn dump rake that we got, and I don't think the plow was. We had a one-bottom plow.
Yeah,
Remember?
that's right. That was one you walked
That was
behind.
probably
Yeah, that was a horse-drawn.
Horse-drawn,
Yeah.
you use a chain.
That's right. That's right.
But then the one I was thinking about was the one where they cut off remember the guy, the welder? I can't remember who did that, but he cut off the beams
Yeah.
of that 2-bottom.
Mhm.
And then welded on a 3-point hitch. I was really impressed. I thought that was the most impressive piece that we had, really.
Yeah.
Although the corn planter was
Yeah, it was pretty nice.
that was the most expensive, probably.
Yeah. We never had a corn picker, but we had something even better.
Cannonball graver.
We used to pick our corn by hand, and Ralph would come down and help us, and he was the fastest man on wheels. I'll tell you.
Yeah,
He could really pick corn.
he was tremendous. Let's see what other things were in that. I thought just the whole idea of actually sort of having a mini farm operation was an interesting thing for us to experience as we were growing up.
Yeah.
And I mean, you remember when we built the corn crib and we got it seems to me, where did we get those big posts that we used?
Oh, I think we cut down trees.
Did we?
Yeah, I think so.
And we set them in cement.
Uh-huh.
They were about
It was supposed to be a simulated pole barn.
yeah, they were about they were about 10 inches across.
Yeah,
10 inches diameter.
pretty big, yeah.
And then we got those little
Yeah,
locust
that's right.
poles to use for the bottom.
Floor, uh-huh. And then
what
snow
else?
fence around the outside.
Yeah, it was a real makeshift deal,
Yeah.
but it worked.
Yeah.
And then we put the roof on it, remember?
Yeah.
We did the whole thing.
Tin roof. Well, I guess we shouldn't leave the farm enterprise, though. Well, I don't know. Should we tell the watermelon story yet one more time?
Oh, why not?
We've told it 100
Go for
times,
it.
probably.
Go for
Well,
it.
you
Here
tell
it
it
is.
this time.
No.
All right, we'll tell the watermelon story one more time, and this is it now. No more.
Maybe like Arlo Guthrie, every 10 years you sing Alice's Restaurant. Every 10 years we'll do the watermelon story.
Well, this year we had a pretty nice garden for a few years there because we always took gardening in 4-H, and we would take things to the fair and show them. And so one of the things we only planted things we liked, of course. We didn't plant anything that we didn't like to eat. This is Bo and me. But that year we planted 5 hills of watermelon, and they all came up, and they had lots of vines. They were nice plants. But and they all had little watermelons on them, but there was only one that actually grew into a nice size watermelon. The rest of them died on the vine or rotted, or an animal got them or something. And so we took care of this watermelon. Go out there every day, put a shingle under it so it wouldn't rot. Remember that? So wouldn't you know it, we never took vacations on the farm. Nobody took vacations.
Dad's view was that we were on vacation all the time.
But this year, for some reason, we decided to take a trip to
Well,
Washington,
do you know why?
D.C.
Because George was working at the Bureau of Standards.
That's what it was.
and we went
Yeah,
out
that's
to
why
see
we
him.
went.
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember why we did that.
At least that was one of the reasons, I
Yeah.
think.
So it was a big event. We were going to go to this trip in Washington, but the problem was that this watermelon was approaching being ready to pick. So Bo and I really agonized over whether we should pick this watermelon before we went or take a chance. We were going to be gone 2 weeks and leave it on the vine until we came back. And we finally left it on the vine and went to Washington and had a great time, but always in the back of our mind thinking this watermelon at home, wondering if some big old groundhog is out there chomping down on our watermelon. So we got home, and I don't believe we even went in the house. I think we went right to the garden, and by golly, there was that watermelon there. And we picked it right on the spot. Remember that?
Yeah.
Brought it in the house, set it on the counter, and Dad took this big old corn knife that we had there, cut that watermelon, and just popped right open. It was just perfect, just perfect. And well, there's never been a watermelon like that to this day. Actually, we keep looking for one every year. We think maybe this is, little small striped watermelon. Maybe this will be it, but no. I don't think there'll ever be another one like that watermelon.
That was tremendous.
Yeah. So the farming and cutting the yard, and we had a huge yard, mowing the yard, took up a lot of our time, I guess. We spent a lot of our time, but we had a few other...
Well, you know what we didn't tell just before we leave the farming is that, because I thought this was kind of impressive too, two other things that I remember. One was fence building.
Oh, yeah.
When we fenced in for the cattle that we bought.
Right.
How many acres do you suppose we had there? I don't know. But anyway, it didn't have any fence.
40 on that side.
And we put up barbed wire because that was the easiest rather than mesh fence. And we strung it all the way through, and we used the tractor to stretch it. Yeah. But we'd tack it on trees instead of setting posts. Pretty bad. Really.
Yeah, it was a little tight.
But remember, we developed our invention for pulling staples.
Oh yeah,
remember that?
Yeah, that bolt that was specially
Yeah,
ground down.
sharpened
Yeah,
so
I
you
think
could-
you did that. I think that was
I don't
your
know.
invention.
That might have been.
Yeah, I think it
I'm
was.
not sure. I remember it, but I don't know who. And then we also burned off the meadow. Remember that? Or not the meadow, the pasture.
Yeah. That was an accident, though, wasn't it?
No, we plowed. Don't you remember? We used the two-bottom plow that we had, and with the 3-point hitch, so you could lift it up and down. And we plowed 6 furrows all the way around the pasture, and then we burned it off because it had been, it had been not used for so long. It just was full of trees and everything. Yeah. And I didn't know you did that sort of thing. And I suppose Dad was the one that said that we ought to do it that way, but. We burned that whole
Remember
thing.
the old multiflora rose?
Yeah, yeah.
Dad saw this ad somewhere that you could get these free bushes from the government, and you planted them, and they grew really, really thick, so you could use them like a fence. And we got those things, and I don't know, we planted some, but we never really got them to the point where they really acted as a fence, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
That was a little great multiflora rose experiment.
Yeah. Well, okay, does that do the farming? I was trying to think if there's anything else. Okay, we're going to make a transition now, right? Back to earlier times on the knob, I guess.
Well, I think what we were thinking about was we've kind of got the chronology confused here, but after Dad left Turkey Run, he tried several different things to make a living, and one of them was farming. Yeah, we're making coffee in here. I wonder what that noise is. One was farming, and although our farm enterprise came later, but he tried farming on a large scale, and then he tried the Burno Can, the Gobblers Knob, and he was very inclined toward business ventures, but eventually became very interested in education and went back to school and got his teacher's license and taught for a number of years and got his principal's license and was a principal also for a number of years. So that was kind of
Wasn't he principal of the junior high when he died?
I think he was.
Yeah. He had been principal of high school at Reelsville, and then we moved back.
And he was principal of Bloomingdale, until they consolidated. That's right.
And one of the things that he, but because of his botany background, he was always trying different kinds of, different varieties of things. He was really big into berries. And we had a huge, how many quarts of strawberries do you think we put up in a year?
It was a lot. I don't know.
Have you got any idea?
No.
I don't either for sure. I was going to say 200, but that sounds like too many. That's a figure that sticks in my mind, but that seems incredible. But anyway, it was a huge strawberry patch, and then raspberries, red raspberries, blackberries he put in, and I remember that apple tree that had 5 different kinds of apples, but it never did have any. It was grafted, so it had 5 different kinds of apples. But that was another one of his experiments. I think one of the amazing things about that place for growing up was the fact that we had so much of nature around us. All the yard took what, about 3 hours to mow, or did it, or was it more than that? 4?
Probably 4. Yeah.
4 hours to mow, and it had all kinds of trees. It had a ash tree and silver maple and birch tree and red maple and a pin oak and sugar gum or sweet gum and hackberry and honey locust and golden rain tree and a couple of fruit trees and a red bud. Let's see. I guess that's about it, but it had
I think so. Yeah, he was
tremendous.
very much interested in. Yeah.
And I assume he planted an Oriental elm.
Right.
I remember that one too.
Box elder too.
Box elder. No, I didn't say that. And that was a volunteer probably. I would imagine he didn't plant that. That, in fact, we know it was a volunteer because it came up
where it was. Yeah.
Right beside the end of the
house. Yeah.
House, and it came up right against the foundation.
Yeah.
Okay, where do we go from here?
Well, I was just going to say that that those 2 items, the farming and the taking care of the property and so on, took up a lot of our time. But we also, in between times, well, as Dad put it, he said he thought we were reliving all the stages of man.
Oh yeah, this was when we were younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to talk about that now, but
Yeah,
various,
let's talk about what kinds of games we played and things like that, because I think that's interesting to me anyway.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What do you remember?
Well, I wasn't sure where you wanted to start with that one. What he was really referring to, I think, is we went through the treehouse stage and the cliff dwelling stage and the exploring stage and all those things, and each of those has some stories to them, I guess.
Yeah. We built a tree house in the red maple.
Yeah,
I think it was, because it had a perfect
very nice
place where you could put a platform.
That's right.
And that was really all it was. It wasn't anything elaborate, but boy, we used it a
We thought
lot.
it was great.
Yeah, we didn't make it into a real house ever. But I thought the most ingenious thing was our cliff dwelling.
Yeah.
Where there was sort of a sandy, not really a cliff, just a hill, I guess, but it was sheared off right behind the house, remember? And we got down on that one day and decided that we were going to make ourselves a cliff dwelling. And so we used a pick and shovel and made not a platform, what do you call it? When you dig it out?
Yeah, it was sort of dug out, right?
Yeah, made a shelf, that's it, made a shelf. And then we put a lean-to.
That's right.
We were always good at using trees. We nailed a board to 2 trees.
That's right.
And put some...
a sign or something we put on it.
Yeah, we put a metal sign. We had all those metal signs.
Yeah, a lot of stuff around.
So we put a metal sign over it as a cover. And then we built an outdoor fireplace where we could cook things.
Remember that? And it even had a little tile chimney on it.
Yeah,
That was a
right.
little. That was quite an invention for us. Yeah.
And then you got to tell your Dale Ball story.
Oh yeah. Right. Well, we can tell that now. Yeah. We need to tell the exploring story though with Aunt Ethel on the.
Oh yeah.
But okay. Well, I'll tell the Dale Ball story here. Again, you sure you don't want to tell us? I've
That
told
one
you so many
remember.
times that.
You remember it so much better than I do.
Well, there was these two boys that lived down the, I guess it was a half a mile or a mile down the road, and their folks ran a filling station, and one of them was named Gary Ball and the other was Dale Ball, and they'd come down on their bicycles every now and then to play, and so one time Dale Ball was down, he was a little older, I guess, than we were, wasn't he?
I think he was, yeah.
And,
Awfully nice guy.
Yeah, we really liked him a lot. And we got this idea of building an elevator on one of the trees to get up and down from one of
It
the
was one
branches.
of our more modern stages.
Yeah, right.
Out of the cliff dwellings and the tree houses.
So we had this nice ash tree that had this long, nice big branch that stuck out. And so it looked to us like if we threw a rope over that and then tied a cement block on one end of the rope and then a loop on the other end, that you could step in the loop and, you know, the weight would just about balance your body and you'd be lowered very nicely to the ground. So we got this all rigged up, this elevator, and I don't know why Dale did it, but he either volunteered or was nominated to go first. And so the cement block was sitting on a kind of a little hill, I guess, when he started. And so he stepped in the loop, and he went shooting down so fast. It was, I mean, obviously he weighed much more than the cement block. But the worst part of it was that as he went down, the cement block swung over, and right in the middle, it missed his head by inches as he went down and the cement block went up. So, needless to say, we once he was down, we never tried that elevator trick again. And it was very fortunate that Dale didn't get killed in that little adventure.
Yeah, but it seemed to me like we had a lot of things. We tried a lot of things like that. Remember the time we camped out?
Oh,
but
yeah.
We only lasted till what?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock in the morning because it got too cold. And
Yeah.
then the time we cooked out.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And Jet taught us how to
helped us,
make
yeah.
Biscuits on a stick.
Yeah, that's right.
And we dug a hole and built our fire in the hole. Remember that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And she cooked maybe eggs too, or broke the eggs. Or
I
something.
think she did something like that. Yeah, I can't remember for sure.
Yeah. That was interesting. Well, tell a part about the exploring. That was good.
Oh yeah, well,
Bethel.
we lived sort of like Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin in 100 acres of woods, and about 50 acres on one side of 41 and 50 acres on the other side. And down at the bottom, and we lived up on a hill. In fact, semis had to shift 7 times. We used to, nobody could sleep when they'd first come there because they'd hear the semis all night shifting 7 times to get up the hill. And it was a pretty steep hill, and ran around, it came around on a curve, went all the way down and crossed Roaring Creek, which actually was still even farther down. It was way down below. So we were up on a hill, and then the road ran down to across Roaring Creek, and then even further down than that. I would say, what would you say the distance was from the bridge? It was a pretty high bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I'm not good at estimating distances.
I'm not either, but it was
200
definitely.
yards, I don't know.
Do you think it was 200 yards? That is
2 football fields, I don't know.
2 football fields, maybe 1 football field, 100 yards.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, so we had Roaring Creek, which wasn't much more than just a little stream, but it was still, it did roar when the rains came sometimes. It would get pretty big. But it was a tributary of Sugar Creek, so it really wasn't that big. And Sugar Creek ran into the Wabash, so it was a smaller creek, but Roaring Creek always sounded like a nice name to me. I like that. And it did have a swimming hole. It was that big because they dammed it up at one place. I guess Dad did that probably.
Yeah.
But anyway, by the time we came along, a lot of it had grown up. And so we spent a lot of time exploring down in there. And one time we decided that we were going to actually cut a path down through all the underbrush and the undergrowth. And that had been because actually it was fresh growth.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a woods because the REMC had cut a swath through to run the electric line.
Mm-hmm.
But it had all grown up, so it was about 4 feet high, I
Yeah.
guess, with fairly solid vegetation and small trees and all that stuff. So we decided we were going to go this 100 yards and actually cut a path, an explorer's.
And how we were gonna blaze a trail.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. I can never tell. Okay, so I was talking about the part that the RAMC had cleared. Yeah, okay. I think this is all right. So I don't like to listen to those things while I'm doing it. So anyway, then we decided we were going to make this trail, blaze this trail, and Ethel decided to help us. And she went out there and worked with us. And you got to remember, she was, what was she, how old was she then, you know?
I don't know. Let's see, how old would that have been?
How old were we? 10?
Probably, yeah.
10, so that would have been, if I was 10, that would be 48. She must have been about 50.
Yeah, probably.
55. Anyway, so she got out there with us and helped us the whole time, and we dubbed her Miss Pioneer for all the work she did. But it was quite a job. We spent...
Remember that machete we had?
Yeah.
In fact, we had 2 machetes, I think.
Yeah.
We hacked through that stuff with them. That was funny. I think we probably saw a snake or two, too. That
I'm
made it
sure
a
we
little
did,
more
yeah. That was one of our... But you know what I remember? I don't know whether you recall, but one of the things that I really remember about our growing up was when we used to play, I don't know what we call it, it was like hide and seek, but we used the whole 100 acres. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And the, oh, I gotta think of what their names. You know who I'm thinking about. The family that lived.
Oh, the Johnsons?
Yeah, the Johnstons.
Johnsons.
Yeah, the Johnsons. John and Marshall and Earl.
Yeah.
And they played with us, and we remember how we used to go, you know, we'd go all day and take our lunch and go down in all those hills and hollows all around Roaring Creek. And there were some pretty spectacular hills. It was sort of like Turkey Run, as I remember it. And we would start out in teams. 2 of us would hide, and the other 2 would track and follow.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it was usually you and John against Earl, Marshall, and me, because...
Was that it?
Yeah, Earl was older. He was a year older than John.
Yeah.
And, so he'd get the 2 little of us, the younger of us, and then you and John were kind of the more intellectual...
we were the chess players.
Yeah, that's right. And so
we had fun with them.
Yeah, we did. That was a sad situation. They moved there from California, and shortly after they came, their father got shot. He was out
hunting accident.
hunting.
Yeah.
He was crossing a fence, and the gun accidentally went off and shot him. And so it left this woman and her 3 children kind of destitute. And Dad let them live in the sod roof, and I think maybe she did a little cleaning for us, and you know, he helped them get by until she finally got a real job, and so the boys we played with those with the Johnston boys for they were there a couple of years, I guess.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I do remember those because I don't think that you and I had explored all that.
No.
And they were much more venturesome in that sense, I guess.
That's right. Yeah. And then we'd always play baseball and do different things like that. Remember how we used to find baseball? We never had a lot of money when we were growing up. Dad had a lot of money when he left Turkey Run, but because he had trouble really finding another well-paying job, I think we lived on a lot of the savings that they'd had at the Knob,
Apparently,
the Turkey Run. So we never really had a lot of money, and so when we would lose a baseball, we would spend hours looking for it because we just didn't, we just couldn't go buy another one. And so one of the tricks was if we had another ball of some kind, we would hit it or throw it try to throw it exactly the same way or hit it the same way that the one that had been lost. And of course, watch that one and see if we could find it. But we did find a number of balls that way. Yeah, we did. But that wasn't the unique one. Do you remember the unique way of finding lost balls?
Mm-mm.
you'd go near to where it was, and then you'd spit in your hand, and then you would slap your hand like that and see which way the spit flew, and whatever direction that was where the ball would be. Now you laugh, but we found some baseballs that way.
Remember that.
Yes, sir.
I remember throwing the ball and seeing if we could
Yeah.
put it in the same place. And that did fun. We spit? Who taught us that?
That might have been the Johnston boys.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it could have been.
That's like something out of Tom Sawyer.
It is.
Right?
It really is. Well, I think our whole life growing up was like something out of Tom Sawyer.
It was very
It
much
was,
like that,
I mean, we didn't do much water playing because Roaring Creek was too treacherous. And
quicksand.
there was
We're always afraid of quicksand.
Quicksand was down there. So we didn't learn how to swim. So the whole water sport thing was excluded for us, except that you learned how to swim later on when you were in high school. I think.
Yeah.
But I never did learn well enough to make it a real sport and do it on a regular basis. But boy, we had all other kinds of things. What I was going to have you tell about was when you built the high jump.
Oh,
and the pole vault.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
Gymnasium out there, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were into all these different sports, and so we built our own backboard for the basketball. Remember, Bill Mischke came down and helped us put the finishing
We put it on
touches
poles,
that.
put it on locust poles.
Yeah, we'd always
We
go
used
out
a lot of locust
We'd always
poles.
go out and cut down the trees,
Yeah.
skin the bark off, and I think we creosoted those.
Yeah, we
got into
did.
that so they'd last longer.
Yeah.
We did everything from scratch. We never went to the lumberyard and bought anything. Hardly ever. Once in a while we would. But we just used whatever was
We had all that
native.
stuff left over from Turkey Run.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
so you could do all
That's
kinds.
right.
Remember, we'd go up to the cabins and just look around to find what we needed.
that's right. We had what we called a hardware room up there where
Yeah.
we just had all kinds of pipe fittings and nails and all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, we would always. But anyway, then we built a high jump thing as well, and that involved boring holes every inch for about 6 feet on the poles. So I was out there boring holes for days.
We got a movie of that, remember?
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm standing there with my hands on my hips watching, and old Joe, who was always
Boring those
the
holes.
enterprising one, was boring a hole every
inch. I think
every
it was.
inch,
Yeah.
all 6
Yeah,
feet,
something like
6 feet worth of holes on
Yeah.
2 poles. And I remember you measured each one very carefully to make
Yeah.
sure that it was the right depth, so that the peg would fit in there, and we could put the high jump pole.
I think Dale Ball helped us with that too. He helped design the box for the pole vaulting.
Yeah, that
He helped
was
us build
that
that.
was one of your early triumphs. I
Yeah,
think.
and also, as I recall, we didn't have anything to land on, and for a while we used a mattress. I think an old mattress, and then I think Dale there was some sand up by them that the highway department
I believe
had or
that's
something,
right,
and
yeah.
he helped us. We hauled some of that down and
We
landed
dug a
on
pit
that. Yeah,
and
we
put
dug
the
a
sand
pit.
in the pit. Yeah.
That's right. So we had
And we
kind
had
of like
our
a little
own height.
gymnasium
And
there.
then you got an aluminum pole. Remember
That's
that?
right. Yeah, that's one of the few. Well, it was really extravagant. It was kind of. I don't know why our folks let us do that. Now that I think back about it, but
Well, I think for
But,
one thing, you had put so much effort into building that high jump and the pole.
But it was
and then
actually
you built the box
official
for the pole vault.
It was actually an official aluminum pole vault.
Yeah.
And
We were going to learn how to pole vault,
yeah,
high jump,
yeah.
and everything. We did learn how to high jump
we
pretty
did.
well on
Yeah,
that.
we did.
And so we had
Yeah,
our own
yeah.
sports, self-made sports equipment.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, that was good. I think that was a good part of our growing up too.
Yeah, a lot of things. We didn't have television, so there was an awful lot of time when we spent trying to figure out what we could do to entertain ourselves.
That's
you know.
right.
And that's how a lot of these things arose, because I think we just...
But we had a
so-
jigsaw, a bandsaw,
That's right,
a
yeah.
drill press,
Yeah.
and a fairly well, for that time, a fairly well equipped shop.
Mm-hmm.
And so we built things a lot.
That's right.
Not great things. Joe became the craftsman, but
Yeah, well, Bo read. He
right.
was
I
the
read.
intellect, and he preferred to exercise his mind while I exercised my fingers, I
boy,
guess, or
that's
something.
for sure. I wish I had done a little more exercise in my
Yeah,
fingers.
I don't know. I've always...
Oh, I would
Wish I'd
like,
read
you know, I
more.
mean, yeah, I know, it's funny. We
Yeah.
each wish we'd done what the other one did, but
Yeah.
I always wanted to be able to be confident the way you and George could be to work on an engine or whatever it might be, you know, and I never did learn how to do that. I've learned a lot since I've been married, and that I didn't know before, because I always just used to watch you guys. But,
The thing I learned early on, I guess, was that to fix something, which I always enjoyed fixing things and still do, was that you first of all had to understand how it worked. So that entailed enough nerve to take it apart so that you understood what the problem was. Then you could put it back together and fix it. But if you didn't have the courage to take it apart and you know, that you had the confidence so you could put it back together, then you never could really fix anything. And I had a lot of luck with that. I fixed a lot of things over the years, but the one thing that really stymied me was we had this old 16 millimeter projector, still have it actually, and the little cam quit working on that one time. So I thought, well, I'll just fix that. So I started to take it apart, and I got so far.
this is when you're an adult.
Oh yeah, this is when I was in graduate school, I think in Athens or something. But I got so far, took the last screw out, and all these ball bearings fell all over the floor.
Oh my gosh.
And I knew I was in trouble.
Oh boy.
So that was the end of that. I took it into a repair shop, and they fixed it up for me. But that was one of the few times when my theory of taking things apart and understanding them so you could put them together didn't work.
You probably don't remember this, but I remember the Christmas. I don't remember where we were even, but we had something, and I think this was when we were adults too, and you put the thing together without looking at the directions.
Oh.
And I've told that story so many times. I said, my brother doesn't even look at directions. He just puts, you know, he looks at the thing and he puts it together. And so...
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
I remember you made the cobbler's bench for Jeff.
Oh yeah, that was.
What are some of the other things
projects
you made, you know, growing up?
Oh yeah, the cobbler's bench. Remember we made that picnic bench for Bill Mitchke. Now that was a hard lesson for me. We made that out of green lumber.
Oh yes, I remember that.
There's a sawmill nearby, and we bought the lumber, and I didn't know enough to ask for dried lumber. And beautiful thing. Oh, so heavy. Remember how heavy that was? And we presented this thing to Bill Mitchke. He was a friend of ours that lived nearby. In fact, we sold him some land to build his house on. And a beautiful picnic table. And the first few rains, that thing warped so badly that it was like, you know, the tabletop just turned up like a smile, you know. So that was an interesting lesson we learned on that one.
Speaking of Bill Mitchke, do you remember the tackle boxes he gave us?
Oh yeah, still have them.
I still have mine too. Who drew the...
George.
I thought it was George.
Yeah,
okay. George put the lazy bee. What did he put on yours? He put the lazy bee
with the hook, you know, dangling in front.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yours was funnier.
Mine
was more serious.
Mine fit my personality.
Yeah, that was great.
It was a boat with a lazy bee on it. And I think I was, you could just see the top of my head or something. I was
sleeping in the boat.
Yeah, but Bill taught us how to fish.
That's right. Yeah, he did. He built a pond on this land that we sold him, and had all these catfish that he stocked there.
And bluegill.
Bluegill and catfish.
Yeah, because I guess we caught that one time. We caught catfish when we caught the 6, and he showed us how to skin them.
Yeah, that's right. How to skin the catfish. I think we ate them. Not often did we eat. I think we ate one of the rabbits we shot.
Yeah, we ate one of the rabbits.
Mostly we, you know, they were groundhogs and things like that that ate our garden that we were.
I never did shoot a groundhog though.
Did you? Yeah, I shot some groundhogs. Yeah. Remember those ones that lived under our corn crib?
Yeah.
Fat groundhogs. They must have just sat up there and just ate that corn. So
they had it pretty good.
Yeah, that was something.
Something else I was gonna. We ought to tell about that before we leave the woodworking part of our lives. I ought to tell about the 2 things that I made for the industrial arts class that they had in the 7th and 8th grade at Bloomingdale. The first thing we were supposed to make was a cutting board, and I had no idea what a cutting board was, and Whitney Woodard, the teacher, didn't tell me. So I went to the lumber yard and I asked them for a cutting board, and they just gave me a little board that it was about maybe 4 or 5 inches by 1 inch. It was 1 inch thick, And I had no idea. And it's really funny because all the other boys knew that what you were getting was a cutting board for the kitchen.
Yeah.
But a cutting board to me didn't mean anything. So I brought my little board to class, and everybody else had their big boards that they were putting fancy tops on everything. Of course, mine wasn't big enough, but he was good because he said, okay, you can make this into a cheese board. And sure enough, we did, and Mother used it for years, and we still have it. But the funny thing was that he made me sand on that thing forever. Just one little board, you know, about 4 inches by maybe 10 inches with a rounded top on it. And I had to work on that. But because he didn't want me to get ahead of the rest of the boys, and my board was so little. But then the other thing he did was we were supposed to do a shelf for the second one. Well, I chose the Scout emblem to cut out with a coping saw, and then put one little shelf on the top, and we still have that someplace.
Yeah, sure.
But and I can still see where I cut wrong too. It doesn't look good. But anyway, he made me sand on that thing forever. I just, you know.
I think on that one, I remember that you had to sand so long on it, it finally never got put together. You brought it home in pieces.
I think
we had to put it
that's right.
together at home
That's right.
he never did even let you finish it. That was so crazy.
So that was my woodworking. But we had a lot of fun building things on the jigsaw. I remember making coasters. Remember we made coasters one time. And then we made teapots. Remember the teapots with the we did those for Christmas with the notepads on them.
That's right. And the thing we
made. No, coffee pots. They were the old-fashioned coffee pots.
That's right. Yeah.
And we made that.
And the ones we made with the pin for the pin cushions and
those were our finest.
Those were
where
nice.
We made the rocking chairs with a pin cushion for to give to the aunts and to Mother. I think Jet still has hers, maybe.
Yeah.
And then the coasters were leaves. Remember we cut out different shapes of leaves. I remember that.
Right. Yeah.
I don't remember any other projects though.
Yeah. Oh, we were always making something.
Or
repairing something. There was always something breaking. That was always something.
Yeah, that's for sure. And you and George were the enterprising ones, always working on it. And I was watching. I spent an awful lot of time watching. Let's see. Well, you want to go to? Is that all on the woodworking and stuff?
I think that's probably
Okay.
About it.
Let's go back in time to when we were really little boys, and some of the inside games we played. Because this is really what we're talking about so far are the things we remember when we were older. Let's say early teens or just before teens. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
And now when you go back to age, what, 6 to 10 maybe?
Probably.
Or 6 to 8.
Yeah.
We had some really neat games. I thought one I remember was building a submarine.
Yeah, on
the couch.
Uh-huh.
And Mother would let us take all the cushions. This was on rainy days.
Uh-huh.
And she let us take all the cushions off and then put them back on. And I can remember playing in that for hours.
Yeah,
Did
that's
you?
right. Yeah, that was fun. Then we had this balcony where we had a lot of our toys. And of course, one of the games we played a lot was farming because everybody was farmer. So we would set up our farms and have all of our implements and equipment and so on. But I think one of the greatest gift that we ever got, again, it was from Aunt Ethel and Uncle Don, was that erector set. Remember that?
Yeah.
I mean, in those days, I think it cost $20, which in those days was a fantastic amount of money. And it was a beautiful erector set.
Remember, we saved our money for it, but we didn't have enough. We gave her our money, and then they bought us a better set. We were saving our money for a small set, and then they put the money with it and bought us a really nice
metal
motor.
Box. Had a motor in it. And then, that's what I was going to tell about the motor was that we used to make a kind of a basket and we'd lower things up and down off of the balcony with that erector set motor. Remember that? Yeah. Somebody would be down below and then you put the little tractor or whatever.
Or run it all the way across the balcony from one side to the other.
That's right. Yeah. That was fun.
Yeah, that was. And then of course we had the game room, which was always too cold to play in.
Right.
But we did play ping pong down there.
Ping pong and pool.
And pool.
And darts.
And darts, yeah.
And that's where we put the electric train too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Most of the time.
That's remember when George you all right?
Yeah.
That's when George had that secret project. We didn't know what it was.
Oh, I forgot
Had no
about that. Yeah,
idea.
yeah,
And
that's
he,
right.
he built up this suspense. He wouldn't tell us what he was working on.
Yeah, that's right.
And he completely redid his train
Mhm.
for us. You know, sanded all the tracks and everything, and then we
Mhm.
put it together. I guess on Christmas. I can't remember when he gave it to us.
Remember? Yeah.
But that was really impressive.
Mm-hmm. We had a lot of fun with that train.
Yeah.
Never worked very well, remember?
No, you
could
always
never get it to
working, trying to get it to
but,
work more smoothly. But
it was very heavy because all the cars and the engine and everything were all metal,
Mhm.
nothing plastic in those days.
mhm.
So yeah, it was very, very heavy, and but it was fun.
Mm. Do you remember any other games we played when we were little, real little?
No, I don't.
Sorry. Yeah, the yo-yos were both one of the great experiences of our childhood and one of the disasters.
Yeah, that's right.
Because Mother said never yo-yo inside, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't make very many rules, but that was
Yeah.
one of our rules, and
Yeah.
of course I broke it. And not only did I break the rule, but I was doing around the world, practicing it in her bedroom,
Yeah.
and I totally destroyed the chandelier.
You know what's funny about that though?
Came down on top of me. That wasn't too funny.
No, but there's an addition that you don't know about that story.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah, with our own kids, and I can't remember now who was doing it, but a few years ago somebody was yo-yoing right here in our kitchen,
Yeah.
around the world, broke that light right there in the kitchen.
Oh, really?
And in a flash, I said, Bo did that once. They loved it. They loved thinking of you doing that exact same thing all those years ago. And it was exactly the same. You know, I said, whoever was doing it, I said, you're going to break something doing it, and just crash.
Yeah.
So
It is not a good thing to do inside.
But we had some great yo-yos, all those Duncan yo-yos.
Yes, we did.
And that Black Diamond yo-yo, and we
Yeah,
used
we
to make
accumulated quite a few yo-yos.
We used to make the world's longest, and you'd have to yo-yo over a ditch, and the world's shortest, and do the dog
We
fight
were really
and
into
things.
those.
Yeah.
And Skittles. Now, Skittles is an
yeah, that
unusual
was a good game.
And that came from Guthrie Inn,
Yeah.
which is a part of, we don't remember Guthrie Inn, at least I don't.
No.
Well, you don't either. I don't think you were born.
No.
I was barely born. And, but there was a game of Skittles. How would you describe Skittles? It's a, gee, man, I don't know how to describe Skittles.
It was it was a board that had sides on it. And
About 6 inches deep.
Yeah.
And compartments.
Yeah, right, with little doors into the compartments, or holes into the compartments. And it had these little, like, pegs that stood up.
No, like tiny bowling pins, actually.
Yeah, right. And then you had these tops that you spun, and they would sort of go careening through this thing and knock these little bowling pins over.
That's a good description,
And yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Remember, it'd been used so much that where you spun the top was all worn out,
Yeah.
It was amazing how many times that top must have been spun to wear that like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Anything else about childhood? On to music then?
Yeah, I think that was another way we spent a lot of evenings, I guess.
Yeah, and that was again when we were older. I think you must have been, no, you were in high school. I don't know. Yeah, you were in high school and I was in college.
When we had the little combo, you mean?
Yeah, the La Petite combo.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, Mom really, she was very much into music and played super well by ear and with music too, reading music too. So she was the glue that always held those things together.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a nice experience. We actually made money, remember? $12.
That's right.
$12 a piece
for
playing at one of the proms.
We played at a number of different, maybe that was after you left. We had a number of jobs.
Yeah, I don't think I played with you about 2 or 3 times. I came home from college and played drums and trumpet. and you played saxophone, clarinet, flute.
Yeah, and then we had those two guys from Montezuma that used to come up. You know, one of them played the
John
trumpet.
Harvey.
Well, John, yeah, he played the drums a little bit, but he wasn't. It
Oh,
was
he played
better.
the guitar too, didn't he? Or
No, that was Clyde.
Oh,
remember?
Clyde.
Yeah.
Clyde.
Clyde played the electric guitar.
Right.
And then I forgot the guy's name who played the trumpet. And then Clyde's dad would play the drums sometimes when you weren't there. So yeah, so we had some different combinations.
And we had those things made out of cardboard. We made our own stands.
Yeah.
Music
that's
stands
right.
out of cardboard with a La Petite combo on them. Where did we come up with La Petite combo?
I think we thought it was cool being French, but it's pretty hokey now that we think about it.
Where did you play? Do you remember?
Oh, I played a number of dances around we put an ad in the paper and a number of the schools, had us come and play.
As I recall, we had a pretty good collection of songs.
Yeah, we had some nice, mostly old Rodgers and Hammerstone and things like that. But it was pretty tame, but we had fun doing it. But anyway, Mom was really always very much into music. We'd play a lot in the morning to wake us up. Remember that?
Yeah,
We'd sit down at the piano and play. Yeah.
And you remember what we did to get the cymbal?
Oh yeah, go ahead. You tell that. You were the drummer.
We sold the guitar.
That's right.
We had a good guitar, which I imagine was quite a good guitar, but we had no idea. But Joe and I really wanted it. Well, I guess I really wanted the cymbal, but I think you agreed.
Oh yeah, we needed a cymbal.
So we went down, and this guy traded us even for a Zildjian cymbal, which John incidentally still has.
Yeah, it was an excellent cymbal.
It was an excellent cymbal, and I don't know whether he cheated us or not, because cymbals are pretty expensive.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we got a cymbal instead of a guitar.
That was before the days that guitars were really, really popular.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't doing rock in those days.
Right.
And so only people that played those were country and western. Yeah,
that's right.
so
and folk wasn't even in.
That's
so.
right. Yeah. So we really had.
And it was
no
steel
good
strings.
use
And it
for
was very hard to play.
Yeah.
But it was a beautiful guitar.
That's right. It's amazing Dad would let us do all that kind of stuff. He kind of gave us free rein on all that kind of stuff.
He did.
He would let us do all kinds of things. We could write checks on his name, and
Gosh, I've forgotten that.
Oh yeah, we used to. I wasn't very old, I was, sign my name sign his name by my name, And
I remember that. Yeah, we would sign our names.
People would take those things all over the place. I mean, it was amazing.
Well, of course, everybody knew him in the county, so
that's
it
right.
wasn't any big deal there. What else did we do with music? I don't think. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know about what else we did except just play and sing around the house there with Mom. But I guess they had a fair amount of music when they were Turkey Run. They used to play for dances, and I think Dad played the drums.
Yeah, Dad did play the drums. Yeah, because we had his drum,
Yeah.
which we still have somewhere. Does Tim have that, or do we have that
I
one?
think you have that now.
Yeah, John's probably the keeper of the drums now.
Yeah.
It's an old Ludwig drum.
Yeah. So.
And we had a bass drum. And let's see. I guess that was about all that was left.
A couple of fiddles.
Yeah,
we still have
fiddles.
those. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, we had saxophone.
Yeah.
Jed had the flute.
Yeah. And the banjos. Yeah, we had a couple of banjos up in the closet that had belonged to Grandpa, right?
Yeah,
Grandpa Guthrie.
I think so.
And apparently they could remember hearing him, seeing him play those. And those just sat idle for many, many years, and then eventually I got interested in string music when folk stuff came in, and went back and got one of those and fixed it up and learned to play that. And then eventually George got the other one and got it fixed up, and I think George Jr. maybe has that now. So those were two other instruments we had.
Yeah, they pretty much let us go where we wanted to go as long as we didn't create any disasters.
Yeah.
And do what we want to do.
That's right. Yeah, that was always Dad's approach to things. When you'd go in and talk to him about a problem or something that you wanted to do, he'd always say, well, what do you want to do? And after you talked about it a while, generally if he thought it wasn't too outrageous, why we got to do it. So.
Can you remember now? See, I don't remember anything at all. But when I was at Culver and you and Dad were together, what kinds of things did you do? I know he played sports with you, but that's
he
all
did,
I know.
and I think that was very tough on him. I can remember he got a sore shoulder out of it, and he really worked hard to try to play with me because he never did much with us in that line. You know, we always played with each other, and yeah, he got out there and played ball, and I was impressed that he could do that. But I think it was pretty tough. And we played some chess and different things. I was very, very lonesome after you left. I mean, it was really tough to be there by myself with Mom and Dad. But he did his best to try to fill in, I think.
Yeah, I suppose that Culver experience was not particularly good in a lot of different ways, although I did learn a lot from it. I mean, it was talk about being shocked and exposed to the real world. Yeah. That was a real jungle compared to
it's amazing how they would let you and George do that. I mean, you're going off so young. That just, now that I think back about it, I can't imagine we would have ever done anything like that with our kids. And then the military part of it was strange. I mean, Dad had researched all the churches there in Bloomingdale and decided that Quakerism was the right thing for them. But apparently he never embraced the pacifist part
I don't
that
think
much.
so.
And so he really sent you guys there just to get a better education. And the military part was really not that much of an issue for him, I don't think. But it seemed strange to me in later years when I realized the ramifications of all that.
Yeah, when I tell people that I went to Culver for a while, they're kind of amazed because they also know my Quaker background. And but I mean, our meeting, remember, had an honor roll for the for the service, and the Midwestern Friends, as I gather from these interviews that I've been doing, were not strongly pacifistic, not nearly like the Eastern Friends. And as a consequence, I suppose we were just part of that.
I think that's
sort of split tradition.
And then his dad had been in the Army.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think he just wasn't. People were very, very patriotic in those days. I think there was just a real different feeling about it. So.
Let's do anything we think about right now.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, one of the other neat things we had, which a lot of people envied, a lot of our friends envied, they envied our house and the other things. I think we appeared to be very, very well off, although in fact we really weren't. But because of the trappings we had, I think
the leftovers from
from an earlier era. So we had this motor scooter that had it was a 3-wheel motor scooter. It had what would you call it on the front? Kind of like a
carrier.
The haul things, yeah.
Oh, what would you call it? Not a basket. It's bigger than a basket.
Yeah.
It was actually like a small bed.
It was sort of like 4 by
like a truck bed.
Maybe 4 feet by 4 feet. Yeah.
And it had sides on it.
It had sides on it, and
that you could take off.
Then you sat on the back and sort of pushed this thing in front, and you could haul kids. Well, that's what we mostly did, was haul other kids in it, and we would drive that thing up and down our lane and work on it. It was never it never would start. You know, it was always having to work on that thing.
Yeah.
Tinker with it, but anyway.
Go ahead.
Did you have something?
No, I just thought of something else we can cover after you tell about the motor scooter.
Well, anyway, our folks would never let us drive it on the highway. I mean, it was far too slow and too dangerous to drive on the highway. But one day they did let us take it over to some neighbors, to the Hobsons, which was all country roads. They were all gravel roads in those days. And, I don't know, what was it? 2 or 3 miles, I don't know.
Probably no more than that.
It was not far, but it was, it was an adventure for us. And we drove the motor scooter over there and took Larry and Jessica for a ride on the motor scooter. As I recall, we went down their road for a while and darn near turned the thing over when we were turning it around.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, I think I do.
We turned around and one wheel kind of went off of the berm a little bit and it sort of tipped on its side. So that was bad enough, but then we went back to their house and eventually decided we were going to go home, and so Georgie and Vernon, that was the parents, said that Jessica and Larry could ride home with us, and they would follow along in their car, and bring them back. It was, again, just kind of a lark. So we started off, and we were driving along this country road, and it had a number of hills, this particular road, and we were at the crest of one of these hills, and there was a car coming very, very fast from the other direction. I think it was one of the Kramers. Remember, they lived on this road.
Yeah.
And I was driving, and Bo was sitting on the back of the motor scooter, and Jessica and Larry were in the front in the bed there. And I can remember Bo being conservative and much wiser than I, said, "Don't you think we ought to stop up here and wait for that car to go by?" And I said, no, there's no problem, it's all under control. And so we proceeded on down this hill to the valley of this hill, and it was getting kind of dark. You could still see all right, but I guess I must have gotten a little bit nervous as we were getting down to the bottom, because I got off the edge of the road, and our wheel, now visualize this, it was like sort of like three wheels, two in the front and one in the back. So one of the front wheels on the right-hand side hit this mound of dirt.
Oh, yeah.
And when it did that, that side of the motor scooter tipped up and made the motor scooter go over into the middle of the road, across the road. So it not only dumped out Larry and Jessica, but actually turned the motor scooter over. And this happened a split second after that car went by. And if it had been, 5 seconds, 10, I don't know, seconds earlier, we'd have all been dead, because that car would have just smashed right into us. So anyway, that really shook everybody up, but we turned the motor scooter back over, and the chain had come off in the meantime. And
it was always a bear to get that back.
Yeah, it was a real bear to get maybe it didn't actually turn over, but anyway, it turned on its side and dumped everybody out, and we were pretty scared. And this is the thing that really impressed me, though, was that Vernon, who was not a big man, but he was a farmer, nearby farmer, he put on his leather gloves and he picked up the back of the motor scooter, which I couldn't believe that somebody could actually, pick the whole motor and everything up, and he picked it up and held it up while we put the chain back on, and then proceeded on home without another event. But needless to say, we never drove on any road again after that. We just, to this day, I'm just so thankful that we didn't all get killed in that little adventure. So that and Dale Ball. It's
funny,
amazing.
I can sort of just barely remember that, but I'm sure because you were driving, you remember it much more clearly.
Yeah.
I can remember that mound of dirt just a little bit.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm sure it impressed me, because I didn't take your advice and do the safe thing. I just went ahead and very nearly got us killed.
Gee.
And then, of course, there was a time, too, that the tractor slipped over the edge I was mowing, Every year, actually, some farmer would either get their hand cut off or get the tractor turned over on them, or there was always at least one accident every summer with the farmer and his tractor. And so our dad and mom were always very afraid of us, something happening. And occasionally we would get on a bank or something and get into problems that way. But I guess we can just be thankful we made it through all those incidences. And we got stung a lot too, I remember. Fortunately, nobody was allergic to bee stings. But
I don't know. I remember that one wasp sting that really laid me out. It stung me on the side of the head. Yeah. Carolyn says I still react to wasps because of that.
Speaking of being stung on the side of the head, I suppose I must endure the fly.
That might be a fitting finish to the whole thing. I'll let you tell it.
No, you should tell it, because you're the one that endured the. I must say.
This is the famous hammer on the head story. We were sitting. Well, you remembered it better than I did, though. Last time we were talking.
Well, again, I guess I was at cause there or something.
Where were we sitting?
I think we were sitting in the red wagon. It was in one of the cars.
Okay.
I'm not sure
That
it was the red
sounds good.
wagon, but it was in one of the cars. We were sitting there, and I had this little wooden mallet that had a little red handle on it. Remember that little mallet? Go ahead. I don't know.
Well, then according to Joe.
No, I wasn't very old.
According to Joe, he was only 18 at the time. So I was sitting there, and Joe was in the driver's seat, and I was sitting on the other side, and a fly lit on my head. And so Joe proceeded to try to kill the fly by hitting me with the hammer.
I know it was a very innocent thing to do. I didn't really, I wasn't trying to be funny or malicious or anything, but I must say Bo looked very, very surprised and somewhat hurt, I guess. And I mean, not only physically, but you know, that I would do such a thing, and asked me why I did that, and I had a very logical answer.
Which was, it's your answer.
There was a fly on your head.
Yeah.
So, yes, I've never been allowed to forget that. It was not one of my better moves.
What do you want to say about the trapeze? Just that it was a big trapeze.
Yeah, it was a kind of a very, very nice, well constructed, heavy, sort of a schoolyard grade trapeze that we had, and we spent many hours on that, pretending we were in a circus and you know, perfecting different tricky little acts like dropping backwards off the bar and hanging by our heels and so on.
Showing off.
Yeah, right. And having contests, see how far you could jump out of the swing. Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Learn to shinny up poles.
I know what we can finish with is Big Bertha.
Oh yeah.
We have to tell about Big Bertha.
That's right. Well, you go ahead and start.
Well, Big Bertha was a leftover from Turkey Run 2, and she was the biggest mower that I think I've ever seen. Well, until recently. I don't think they made them for private consumption like that mower. It was the kind you used for the state parks, and you could they actually had a sulky that you hooked on behind it. But and we mowed our yard. It took us what, 4 hours to mow our yard is what we estimated.
Yeah.
And we mowed our yard with Big Bertha, but the thing I remember about Big Bertha is that there was never any muffler on it.
Yeah,
remember?
that's right.
So it was
The muffler
once we started
rusted off, so it was never replaced.
Right, and once we started it, we couldn't stop it.
That's right.
Because
start again.
Because we don't. And I took that philosophy toward probably every mower I've ever owned. You know, the once you start a mower, don't stop it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
but it was quite a thing to handle. It was really
heavy.
heavy.
Very, very heavy. Yeah. But it was a good lawnmower. It would pull up any hill. You know, you didn't ever have to push it. It was very had a big old Briggs and Stratton engine on it.
And now, did you ever ride on the sulky?
Once in a while, yeah.
I remember that Dad said we couldn't do it,
was kind of
because of the hills in the yard for one thing, and also because that guy had broken his back.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Over on the park.
Turned it over.
Riding it. Yeah. It wasn't very safe.
Yeah.
But old Big Bertha was sure part of our growing up.
Yeah.
I remember we used to dip the spark plug in the gasoline so that it would start, and Dad was always fiddling with Big Bertha.
That's right.
See if we could get that thing to go.
Yeah, we used that for years and years, and then we eventually gave it to Bill Mitchke when we left. That and the tractor.
The Ford tractor and all the drill press and all that stuff.
Actually, he bought those, I guess. But
probably, yeah.
But I don't know what's happened to those now, but. Yeah, he was still using the tractor years and years later. I don't know about the lawnmower, but yeah, he was good things lasted a long time, I guess.
Do you remember playing in the honeysuckle?
Oh yeah.
Tell about that.
Well, I don't. We had this. Well, Bo already described this hill that went steeply down to the road, and to keep that from washing, they planted it with honeysuckle. And this was great to plan because you could just, hang on to it. And I don't remember specifically. I just remember getting in there and
playing tag and stuff like that. Yeah, it was
right.
just you roll around in it.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Sometimes you played dodgeball in there too. I think it just added a dimension to the whole play thing that was different.
Yeah, I always got around to poison ivy too. Not from the honeysuckle, but every summer we would get into somewhere when we'd be doing that kind of stuff. Chiggers. I always got a lot of chiggers.
we're getting really negative.